Three letters, guys. PCE, that's right. We are going to get that PCE data. This is often referred to as the Fed's preferred inflation gauge at 8:30 a.m. It's also a big day for earnings because the biggest company in the market, the one in everyone's mind, the biggest earnings event of every earnings season, Nvidia, reporting after the bell, expected to be released at 4:20 p.m. tonight. So stick with us. We'll take you through those earnings and, of course, even earlier, take you through some PCE. So we'll start with some housekeeping with that in mind. Again, guys, PCE at 8:30 a.m. We're expecting a little bit cooler to in line on the year-over-year side, both core and non-core. Month-over-month, though, expecting a little bit hotter than what we got previously, core and non-core. So that should be an interesting look. We'll go over that in a little bit more depth in just a few minutes. We're also going to get GDP at 8:30, durable goods at 8:30, consumer spending, consumer income. So lots of data to get into at that 8:30 a.m. time. Here's the SPY right now, poised to open roughly flat. If you take a look here at the NASDAQ, same look. USO here, poised, again, roughly flat. So as of right now, you've got, sometimes we'll get, USO's up, major averages are down, or vice versa. They're all kind of flat today. And I think on a day with so much economic data and so many heavy earnings, especially after the bell, that's definitely going to be of note. This is also the day that the Jackson Hole Symposium kicks off, that we won't get that big speech from Fed Chair Warsh until Friday. And of course, here is the man, the myth, the legend itself here, Nvidia, roughly flat right now in the open, kind of mirroring the market, but this thing is going to be on people's eyes all day, but especially after the bell. But even, of course, before that closing bell and before that earnings report, there's still going to be a lot to get into today, Sia.
Absolutely. After the bell, we do have big name Nvidia. I'm very, very, very anticipated. I'm really waiting for this name. Also, over the past, we do know it, 5 quarters, Nvidia has beaten both Wall Street on both earnings and revenue every single time. I want to see if they hold up this time as well. We do know right now. Also, they've beaten EPS estimates as well, 5 times straight, but the stock has still fallen on earnings day 4 times and declining roughly around, I would say, 6%. So yeah, we do have a lot of economic data coming in. We do have the Jackson Hole Symposium starting as well today. And like you said, Fed Chair Kevin Warsh delivering his speech on Friday. Lots of anticipation and lots of things happening today.
Yeah, we're going to turn it to the guys in a second, but I want to mention Micron. No move on this yet, but we do have some C-suite changes here for MU. So MU appointing Manish Bhatia as president and COO, so chief operating officer. Scott DeBoer has become the president and chief technology and products officer. That's effective immediately. So some C-suite switch ups here over at MU. If you guys could have one word and then kind of explain it after to describe what you're expecting from the market today. I'll start with you, Neil. What word comes to mind? I saw your eyes kind of go wide at that question.
One word. Let's just say disappointment is the word I will use.
Unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, disappointment, not necessarily for the price. I feel as if everyone's excited for Nvidia, and usually the moves have been somewhat muted on earnings day. So I think the explosion that sometimes we're expecting to get doesn't come from that place. It's not, so that's why I use the term disappointment, but it's not from, I don't think we'll be disappointed when we see CrowdStrike after the bell. I think there's going to be some fireworks there. Cybersecurity has been under a lot of pressure. Obviously, we're going to have some economic data here at 8:30, and then everyone's going to wonder what that's going to mean for Friday and the Fed and going forward. But I feel like Warsh isn't going to give us much of anything on Friday, and there'll be more uncertainty. That's good for the markets because it gives us a little bit more volatility when he's a little bit more vague. But yeah, that's the word I would use. I think everyone hypes this event so much and for Nvidia, and then oftentimes you get a little disappointment.
Yeah, and I think because you have Nvidia and PCE in the same day, I think that adds to things. What word comes to mind for you, Sean, in terms of, I know this is a kind of a weird question, but just kind of summarizing what you're expecting from what should be a pretty exciting day?
I think a good word is patience.
I like it.
Adara, because I think that you got to wait for these numbers to come through, right? I mean, we can all sit here and expect PC to run hot, run cool, but when at 8:30 the number is going to come out. We'll see how that's going to affect Jackson Hole and what that means to Warsh and what that means to September 16th, right? That potential Fed rate hike, and then we got to have patience as well as we wait for Nvidia earnings, And I think that we can all again understand that the last 6 of the last 8 earnings calls were great reports, great calls, but unfortunately the market had a negative reaction. So I think what we have to do is just be patient. Wait, see the numbers, react to the numbers as we get them, and move on from there. So for me, that's what I'm waiting for. We're excited. At 8:30, we now have a half hour away. We're going to get that, that read, that PCE, the preferred Fed gauge number, and we're going to find out what that is. And at that point, we move forward, right? I mean, I think they just got to be patient, wait for the number, and see how the market reacts to it. Because ultimately, that's all we're doing is trading the market reaction. You know, there isn't a whole bunch of news surrounding big tech names today, so we'll have to wait around. There's interesting stuff about Kimi and stuff like that, but for right now, we just sit back and we relax and we wait. What's a word you would choose potentially?
I think. Oh, that's a really good question. And see, now I
mean, it's just the same question.
I don't think it was that good when I posed it. Now I think it's kind of tough when I'm dealing with it. I think I can only think of multiple words. I would say maybe unexpected, because I think because we have so many expectations, I think at any moment they can kind of subvert.
Right.
Ooh, there we go.
So that would be what I think here. And I know you guys kind of talked about PCE, but I want to dive a little bit more into this 8:30 a.m. data dump, because I say dump, it's not just PCE. We talk a lot about this PCE,
GDP, right.
but it's going to be GDP as well. It's going to be durable goods orders. There is a lot coming down the line here in just 24 minutes here.
There is a lot coming. I don't know what to even look at, because there is a dump of numbers, to be very honest, and to brutally call it that. Let's just take a look at the previous numbers that have come in and what's forecasted for these. So core PCE price index earlier was at 0.1%, and consensus now stands at 0.2%, but forecast 0.3%. GDP growth rate previous at 2.1% and forecasted at 1.5%. Curious to see how that plays out here. There is a bit of a gap between the previous number and the forecasted number, so I'm curious to see how that comes out. Like you said, we also do have durable goods coming in. Durable goods were at 0.6% previous, and currently forecast stands at 0.3 to drop by 0.3 points.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one here for some of this economic data. Now, Sean, I want to start with you, because you mentioned patience, which I think is really key, especially with this economic data and with earnings. And I think kind of goes to what I'm curious about now. I guess, what piece of advice would you give for traders who are trying to figure out, how can I plan my trades when we have this number coming out just an hour before the bell?
I mean, recently we've been having the numbers come out as expected, right? So I feel like, there isn't really that much to do. I mean, I have the Qs up here right now. It's not moving around too much. You're down 1/4 of a point right now, looking at some possible break spots. If you're looking at a daily chart on the NASDAQ, breaking below the 708 area would be interesting. It's on a nice little decline here over the last couple of days. We've seen Nvidia now obviously down 7 of the last 8 days, with yesterday being one of the up days. But how can you possibly prepare for a number? I mean, I think it's just about waiting, watching the tape, and understanding that this is the first chance right now at, a number this week where Warsh and so on and so forth can get a base to what they can expect to hear them say, right? I mean, if this number comes in extremely hot, then the hawks are going to come out. If it's slightly cooler, then maybe we do get a rate pause. So I just think that watch out for the expected move, but potentially an outsized move, right? I mean, if this comes in, we just heard core PC expected at 0.2%. What if this comes in at 0.4? Then all of a sudden now you'll see the market react, expecting to the downside.
Just pack it up and go.
Yeah, and then so if that winds up happening, the market goes to the downside. All we have to do is be prepared for it. It just goes back to that patient word again, I think, Adara, where it's like, let's just wait to see what winds up happening. And I think you can hop on board with this time. I really do think that if it does come, Neil, to the downside, it comes more hawkish, I think the market continues. I think we need to have a direction right now, and I think everyone actually is looking for the short. So if that can wind up printing, I think the market continues, and we could have quite a negative day, possibly down 1+% on the NASDAQ.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on this, Neil?
Well, I mean, if it came in 4%, like this coffee, we just add a little bourbon to it and hit the short key. I think that would be the case for sure. No, I think having an idea of, where you want to look for initial reaction to confirm things, like have a look at like TLT, maybe, ensure that that's maybe, sort of heading. It's right now was the last couple of days heading back into the upside. You can look at that. You can look at the VIX as the leading indicator, just to make sure all the stars are aligning. And then from that point, I usually want to find, let's just say it comes hot. Let's stay with that theme. Let's just say it comes hot and we stick with that theme. Well, I want to look for some kernels of strength, not just be thinking short. I want to see, what does that mean for gold? Can you find something there? Is Bitcoin able to hold on a little bit, even if that were to be the case? So yeah, I think you could try to look for the names that you are going to key in on to trade, both as indicators, and that's where we talk about TLT and UVXY. Obviously, you're going to look at the Qs as well for direction. But then I'm going to be very, very curious where I can find some outliers. And the first two places I would look because they've been doing their own thing oftentimes, is over to crypto and certainly gold and silver. Although some days gold a little bit better than silver. They took a bit of a backturn yesterday, but it was a nice rebound for sure. So yeah, you have to have some ideas out there that could go contrary to the market, at least in the back of your mind. Whether they do or not, who knows? But I always want to have a few ideas out there like that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I want to talk, speaking of the market, and we talked yesterday, I did this on the wall over here, about how the market usually performs on Jackson Hole Symposium speech day. Well, speech still not till Friday, but we actually get the start of the symposium today. And we got some interesting comments from Fed's Barkin, which were, I think, a little bit more hawkish than I've seen from some of these Feds as of late. He basically said that it was a close call to hold rates, which is honestly the only time I've seen that, because before that we were really seeing that, it was, we definitely wanted to hold, but now Barkin's saying that maybe that hike could have been a little bit closer than we were expecting.
Yeah, I did read about that too, Adira. And also we do know all eyes are going to be at the Jackson Hole Symposium starting today. We're going to see, like you said, market moving. This is my first time looking at this, so I'm curious and excited to see how the market responds and reacts to all of this. So we do know that the central bank has also often used this gathering to flag its expectations for the rate policy. So as we, however, spoke about it a couple of days ago, eyes again on Fed Chair Kevin Warsh to honor that tradition in his debut speech on Friday. So that's something that I'm looking forward to as well. So we do know what he's been facing scrutiny as well. That's nothing new. If you've been following the Feds for a long time, you do know that. And also investors are saying that Warsh has pushed market confusion. And I don't think this is anything new. I think this has been well established. We do know about this. It's raising doubts about his credibility as well. But let's just stay on point. Investors are also hoping that Warsh will use his speech to fully explain the roadmap for returning inflation to also the Fed's target, and see what the bond market's role is in that strategy as well. So yeah, curious to see where this goes from here.
Yeah, I really don't think that we're going to get any kind of, as you said, see a better sense from Warsh about what he's going to do going forward. I guess, Neil, what one thing would you be shocked to hear Warsh say? It doesn't have to be a word. It can just be kind of a statement or a sentiment, because this guy's notoriously tight-lipped.
What would I be shocked to hear? I'd be shocked to hear if he were to tell us precisely what he's looking. Sorry, flies around here. I'd be surprised, first of all, if these flies got killed. That's the first thing.
Yeah,
no.
That'd be nice.
No, I'd be a little bit surprised if he was direct about what it would take for there to be a rate hike this year. I mean, the market is still pricing. We're pricing in. It's still the same thing as it was. I mean, I have it up here. We're looking at like 64% chance that we're going to stay as is. But if you go up to the end of the year, it's still about a 70% chance that rates are higher. And there's a decent chance. I want to say, let me just double check. Yeah, it's a 24% shot that you could have 2 rate hikes. So the market seems to still think that that's the direction that we're heading, and I feel as if you'll get zero insight from Warsh as to whether that is true. So it'll be completely more uncertainty. So there'll be no directness, in my opinion. The other thing I'd be surprised with is if he gave any true insight as to what he thinks about what the Treasury has done.
That's interesting.
I feel like he's going to leave that alone, even though I'm sure people will probably want to hear his thoughts on what Besson has done to try to manipulate long-term yields. My guess is he's going to completely leave that one alone, and maybe that's what he's supposed to do. But yeah, I'd be definitely surprised if he addressed that directly.
Yeah, and before we go over to Joe for options, Sean, I know we talk a lot about Fed speech being kind of a nothing burger. I think given that we know Fed's Chair Warsh doesn't even believe in Feds giving kind of any sense of the game away, how seriously are you taking any Fed comments, including these hawkish comments from Barkin ahead of that speech on Friday?
So it's a great question. I mean, Adira, I think Kevin Warsh basically set his own trap here, because he doesn't want to speak about anything. So what he's winding up doing is leaving it open for other Fed members to come in like Barkin and give their opinion.
It's a good point.
So yeah, so if he's gonna sort of set this trap, then everyone's gonna lay in it, and they're going to come out and the hawks are going to speak, right? They're going to want their opinions out there. So I really feel like his refusal to spoon feed the market where his direction is has led us down this trap. But I was actually just looking at the 2-year, and I think this is something that we've seen run hot over the last little while. From February, we were down to 3.5%, now all the way up to 4.2. The 2-year yield is what's going to move come this PCE and GDP number. So that's what we're going to be looking for. But hey, you know, growth stocks I think are going to get hit no matter what winds up happening come Friday. I really do think the hawkish talk is what's going to wind up happening. And I think Barkin is just sort of setting the stage here. Finally, we get some Fed speak. And it is interesting to get a little bit inside the committee now, because as we said, he's setting up all these what were those task forces, and now finally members of his crew are coming out to speak, and it looks like it's a little closer than we thought. Neil just showed it was 65-35 basically. Let's see what it winds up being come Friday. But Jackson Hole, like you had mentioned, Adara, it is just a bunch of talking back and forth. It's a bunch of rich guys getting together, drinking some wine and eating some nice food.
A little scotch.
But yeah, maybe a little scotch on the end of it. But at the end of the day, you know, the yields are what's going to tell the story. And I just think that, yeah, he's sort of set his own trap here by not talking enough about it himself. So now Barkin's going to come out and say what he wants, followed by Kashkari and all these guys are going to come out and give their opinions. That's dangerous for the market because we don't actually know what the vote's going to be until September the 16th.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for sure. We're going to turn it over to Joe for some options talk with, again, 14 minutes to go until PCE.
All right, guys, let's get right into things. Adara, I do like your choice of word, though. Unexpected is what I was actually going to go with, and that's going to lead us right into this potential strategy here within NVDA. Would have been 3 words, actually, for me. Expect the unexpected, because what we have seen and what we've witnessed over the past couple of quarters is that we stay inside of our expected move. Now, Joe, what are we talking about here? We have a little strategy assembled, and we're going to be looking at the strangle, ladies and gentlemen. So what is this? It's actually a long call and a long put that are slightly out of the money. Now, what is the objective of this trade? Well, we would have to exceed our expected move here in order for this trade to really pan out for us. But the real important thing is ladies and gentlemen, don't forget implied volatility is priced into the value of these contracts. All right, so let's get right into things. What is the objective here? We're trading around $213 and $214, so plus or minus $16 on each side, $14 on the strike side, which is going to be the put, and $16 on our call. So what is the objective here that we are aiming at towards this earnings report? Well, just before the close, if you're looking to assemble this style of trade and say prices roughly going to close where we're currently at right now, this is how I would set up my strangle strategy. Now, the objective of this is you really need to have the understanding of intrinsic and extrinsic value. This only holds extrinsic value, which is time value. These are out of the money contracts, so they are not worth anything until you either have a massive appreciation in either the long side or a depreciation in the price as well too. So the objective here is to gain a little bit more time value before the expiration date, all right, ladies and gentlemen, which could be difficult because if we stay within that expected move, the value of these contracts are going to diminish. But the key objective here is that we want one side of these contracts, whether it be the put side or the call side, to exceed our expected move and outweigh the opposing contract. So say we just happen to climb to $235, the appreciation within this specific contract itself will outweigh the value of this contract, in which you would lose due to the fact that, hey, we climbed higher, this put value is going to lose some value. This put contract is going to lose value. And the same thing here in regards to the put. If we were to sell off aggressively, you would want your put contract to outweigh the call contract, all right? So there is your strangle setup potentially for NVDA earnings report. But the key objective is we need to exceed the expected move. Moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least on our list, we have CrowdStrike also reporting after the bell. This contract is going to be expiring Friday, ladies and gentlemen. $15 spread here. It's not the most active underlying asset. 2.9 thousand contracts still currently open at that level, and 2.4 open and closed on yesterday's session. I was looking for the largest amount of gamma exposure, and it led us to this $200 strike price. Now, as for our Greeks, you can notice that we are out of the money just by our 24-cent delta. We're sitting on a penny gamma, and our Vega exposure sitting on 5 cents as well too. Now, as for the longer duration within this contract, we've already lost 87% of the value. You might find if you do have the ability, kind of like our NVDA setup there, if you have that extreme move and you beat the expected move, the implied move, then you'll see some appreciation. But to fully recover on this contract is extremely difficult, and the probability is extremely low as well, too, ladies and gentlemen. Always use your delta as a percentage metric in which the contract may or may not close in the money. That is your options segment leading into the earnings report after the bell on CrowdStrike and NVDA. Let's send it back to Adair.
Yeah, I want to talk, because we're going to discuss some NVIDIA without a doubt here on the rundown. I want to talk, though, right now about oil. So you've got a couple different things happening right now hanging in the balance with oil, including that very unexpected last-minute report yesterday with roughly 15 minutes to go until the closing bell from a Russian news source saying, hey, the U.S. and Iran could announce a deal within a matter of days. So there is a lot happening in the oil front. I know we don't discuss it as much as we used to, but I think it's still worth noting, keeping an eye on some of these developments here, Sia.
Let's look at what's going on here, Dara. So Iran and Oman, as we do know it, are now approaching a deal to secure safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. We saw a couple of comments coming in on X as well yesterday. This is also to secure the future administration of the strait particularly. We've also seen joint comments coming in. So the countries have said in joint statements yesterday that their respective foreign ministers had discussed a, quote, proposed framework close to establish a, quote unquote, a joint temporary navigational corridor through the Strait of Hormuz and an agreement to implement a joint project to clear the strait from mines. The U.S. also has reportedly started returning its diplomats additionally to the Gulf countries. So projections is that this could potentially suggest that there is no escalation for war, or the United States does not currently expect any military escalations as well. But let's tie this into the economic D-Day announcement that came on Monday from Scott Bessent. We do know it. However, U.S. has so far held off on imposing these significant secondary sanctions on other nations. And Adara, this also includes China, significantly Chinese financial firms that are suspected of facilitating Iran's oil trade.
Yeah, we saw here that the reports that we could get some other kind of deal between the U.S. and Iran. You get the sell-off in oil. Neil, do you think that when we eventually, saying we do get some kind of deal, have this announced again, this could be as early as this week, do you think it ends up being a sell the news event for the market because we've had so much anticipation here? What would your trade be?
Well, I think for oil, at least for the next couple of days, I do feel pretty bearish on oil. It's really a matter of how far it does drop before any announcement were to happen. We've seen it too many times before where you get a deal announcement and then we just go right back to being worried about AI and focusing on other things. And I think NVIDIA earnings in Jackson Hole will be bigger overall than what is being telegraphed is going to happen. You've got three things telegraphing that maybe we're not going to get any more escalation. Sia mentioned one of the most important ones, which if you're sending diplomats back in, you're not looking to escalate militarily. You wouldn't be putting diplomats in that kind of a situation. So that's the first time. The second one came on Monday when they said they were going to go with economic. Oh, it's going to be economic D-Day. Okay, well, you pull that lever because you don't want to have to lob more bombs. Well, why would that be the case? Because all of the talk that munitions are at lows and they need to restockpile and then we're getting low, and that's very expensive. So you throw that all together and you really get the sense that it's obvious, not that anybody wants there to be a military escalation, but certainly that's lowered. And right now oil's reflecting it. We've had a 2-day pullback. It's been gentle, hasn't been crazy, but it has been a little bit risk off, and that's what I feel like we're heading into. We're just drifting lower, and I'd be a little bit concerned if we didn't hear some kind of announcement saying that, hey, okay, we've got a formal ceasefire or something along those lines. If we didn't get that, I think that would be poor. But because the market is expecting this, I expect oil to just drill back down, and then we can be worried more about Friday. Tonight first, we got to get past Nvidia, and then Friday, because if Warsh, who we're expecting to be tight-lipped, I still feel like he surprises people by being. You know what? I would be shocked, but if you were to lob some, not criticism, but commentary toward the Treasury's tactics, that would be half of what Drunken Miller did. I feel like that would really scare the bond markets. I don't think he will, but there's that potential that's out there because there's been a lot of criticism as to what the Treasury is trying to do with yields. And if there's a comment from the Fed about it, I feel like that could really spook the bond market. So I'm not as worried about oil, at least for now.
Well, it's a fair point, Neil, because he can be a little bit spicy. Like if you guys saw that economic forum that he took place in or took part in with a whole bunch of other bank leaders and Sarah Eisen of CNBC, he got a little tense at times. And based on some of what you said, Neil, I want to pose a different question to Sean here because, Neil, I like that you were kind of also mentioning with regards to all these other events we have going on here. You've got NVIDIA, you have PCE, you have the Jackson Hole speech. Sean, where would you rank as of right now with such a busy week the importance of oil amidst all of these other catalysts? Do you think it kind of falls to the wayside for you here?
I think what Neil said is right. I mean, I think that this is one of the last remaining surprises that this market could actually get, right? I mean, I think that we're kind of just on the precipice of a decision. Because tonight we have also NVIDIA, which is going to help with this whole data center. And by the way, we have struck oil in the basement. You can hear the drilling happening right now, so very timely on this discussion. But no, I think we could see a quick $5 to $8 drop or so in oil, let alone USO, if this sort of rhetoric continues to be positive. And I think that's what the market's looking for. We're looking for some more positive movement. I mean, look at what USO did at the end of the day, right? We went from 128 down to 125, from 3:30 into 4 o'clock. If we call up the SPY, you can see when it goes, there you go. You can see a opposite reaction, obviously upside there, up about $1.50 in the SPY. So if this story does have wind, and we do have Iran and Oman now advancing their talks and trying to come up with something, I think oil does continue its move lower and the market can continue its move higher, and we can sort of push PCE and GDP to the side for now and just continue to hope that oil does have this downside drop there, disinflationary move, and we can have a little bit more power to sort of the hold tight spot for September the 16th with the Fed. So I believe that oil right now is one of the true catalysts in the market. And if we can continue to get a downside drag on that, then the market should lift upside and we don't have to worry as much about other economic indicators. So for me, oil, Adara, continues to be a huge story in the current marketplace.
Well, we have right now about less than 4 minutes until we get the PCE and GDP data. So really quickly, before we get into that, I want to talk about an asset class, equity, whatever you want to call it, that could move on this, which is crypto. Now, I want to talk to you guys, Neil and Sean, because I noticed something technically, and I, not as experienced with charting, I could be overthinking this, but you had that 83,000 level here, Bitcoin going back to early May. We tested just below it, you get that topping tail candle, and then you reject. But Ethereum actually broke, and right now is holding above that level around the same time that we made in late April, early May. So I guess, would you say here, Sean, I'll go to you first, Bitcoin or Ethereum, do you think there's actually any divergence here, or do you think Bitcoin's just trying to catch up before it continues to, have this rally like what we're seeing with ETH?
Well, there's sort of the whole golden cross happening between the ETH and BTC right now. I actually think that the exuberance in Ethereum actually is a positive for the altcoin movement right now. Generally speaking, when we have Bitcoin going to the upside, Adara, that is a strength. So, I mean, we can call it up right here. Here's ETHA. On the NASDAQ, I believe. Yes, there it is. So you're going to see a nice little outsized move on Ethereum once this loads up. There it is. I mean, look, strong move in Ethereum, quite outperforming. I think it's about outperforming by 10% or so Bitcoin right now. And I just think that Bitcoin is a flight to safety, as we like to discuss it, right? I mean, if there's a run into Bitcoin, generally that means that people are finding the top asset class. They're putting their money in there because they feel that Bitcoin itself is about to go for a run. The fact that we have Ethereum going higher gives a little bit of juice, I believe, Neil, anyways, to the altcoin movement here, because Circle's been going a little bit higher. The Clarity Act does help some of these stable coins. I think stablecoin rejuvenation helps some of these altcoins get to the high side as well. So you're going to see names like XRP, names like Solana start to get back there to the upside.
Yeah, I want to talk here really quickly, Neil. We've got like a minute now until PCE, GDP. Are you expecting any kind of crypto move potentially, depending on how we get those numbers, and which of these crypto assets you'd be looking at first?
Well, I mean, it's always going to be IBIT and ETH at first, but I'm actually going in a little bit bearish on IBIT because of that 80,000 projection that we're having. But I think you have to look at the Circles and the Coinbases of the world, and BMNR and the Treasury plays, because I think you're going to get outsized moves if there is strength. But again, predicting what's going to happen at 8:30, I don't think that's the way to go. You want to get the numbers. You want to be able to react to them after we have them. I'm expecting it's probably just going to be in line. But hey, you have to be ready for some shocks, and do not ignore the Treasury names. MSTR, the MNR. Those could give you bigger outsized moves.
Yeah, and we're actually 20 seconds away now, so really good time here until we get these numbers. So let's go over what we're expecting again. PCE year over year, 3.6%, forecast 3.7% prior, month over month, 0.1% forecast, negative 0.1% prior. The core prints, you're expecting no change here for year over year, 3.3%, 4.2%, a little bit hotter than what we got last month. Let's see what starts coming in. Okay, I have durable goods right now, 1.1%. That's going to be well above estimates of 0.5%. Core PCE, 0.2%. We were expecting 0.2%, so that's going to be in line with estimates. I also just got GDP here coming out at 1.5%, in line with estimates of 1.5%. PCE year over year, hotter than expected, 3.7% versus 3.6% expected. Month over month, PCE 0.2% versus 0.1% expected. So that's hotter by 0.1% for non-core year over year and month over month. Core numbers were exactly in line with estimates, 3.3% versus 3.3% for the year over year. And that core month over month here, 0.2% versus 0.2% expected. As we mentioned, GDP coming in line, durable goods a little bit hotter than we were expecting. Personal income hotter than expected, 0.4% versus 0.2% expected. Consumer spending a little bit hotter as well. We'll switch over to the SPY. Right now, a little bit of a drop here on the SPY. Neil and Sean, what are your first reactions to that numbers? I'll go with you first, Neil.
I mean, mostly in line. I mean, it's slightly hot. You're seeing probably what you would expect from the market, which is a slight move down. That feels like it makes sense to me. Bitcoin, first move downside. I was a little bearish on that anyways, but first move to the downside. I don't think you want to overreact when we are mostly in line. I think you want to take a look at what some of the revisions are going to be, maybe on that GDP number from prior. That's going to be a bit of a key. But it's a little bit quiet. Again, nothing was a crazy shock. I think it had been a bigger shock. We'd be looking at more downside. You can see TLT, that's a 20-year ETF. That's pulling back a little bit. Of course, this goes down. Yields are going up, but nothing crazy. We didn't break through support on recent support on TLT. We didn't break through recent support yet. That would be concerning to me. On if we were to break some of these lows, that would be a little bit of a concern based on the fact that it's a little bit more in line more than anything else.
Yeah, does this change your trading plan at all, or does this change how you're going to be approaching the market, or what stocks we'll be looking at today, Sean? As again, we get hotter than expected prints for both the core, the non-core month-over-month and year-over-year PCE.
No, I mean, right there. I mean, pretty much in line, as we said. We were looking for an outsized move, and I mean, right now the market's just kind of hovering around. The SPY goes up, goes down. Now right back to the pre-market lows. The Nasdaq was down 0.2 going in. You're now down 0.4, so that's trying to speed up a little bit. Bitcoin did dump below 78,000 there temporarily. Now back up to 78.4. So I think the market just reads this through, and we continue as per usual, continuing to watch oil, continuing to wait for more Fed speak. When you get numbers that come in line like this, there really isn't a whole heck of a lot to do. I was talking about the U.S. 2-year here yield, and really nothing happened at all. Ticked down to 4.175, up to 4.20. So if we look at a daily chart here, or even if we just go to a 10-minute chart. Oops, get rid of that ad. Just a little downside move, now a little upside. And so just back and forth on the 2-year. I was expecting a little bit of a, more of a dramatic pause there in this space, but it doesn't look like we're getting too much of a movement here on the US 2-year either. So yeah, for me, watching the SPY, there it is, just hovering near the day's low. No, Adair, I think it's as expected, right? 0.2 versus 0.2, 3.3 versus 3.3. A couple, as Neil said, a couple hotter prints in there if you read through it. But no, for me, everything seems to be the same. Bitcoin not moving, Nvidia, SpaceX, everything seems to be all nice and calm. I wonder if there's anything happening in small cap world.
Good question.
Yeah, great transition there, Sean, because we are going to bring over Luis Barbado of Day Trading. He's over here behind us, as you can see. And let's get right into it with some of these small caps, Luis. Great to have you on with us. This YYGH was unwashed this morning. This has a relatively small float. I was seeing, I think, just under 20% short float. Is this something that would be on your radar?
Yeah, it was in our radar. Hello, good morning there. It was in our radar, and we shorted there when it fails the new highs on 250. We shorted right there in 220s, and when it broke the VWAP here. And very likely it's going to be an all-day fade on this one. It's a nice, with all the fundamental data, with all the statistics, it was a very nice short. Not short in front side when it broke this 220, the overnight resistance here. You could see it broke, it went higher, but when the volume dropped after this huge candle of volume candle, this one, it went to 260 almost, you let it go. We call this like a death candle with a lot of volume down, and then you can short it here. And again, when the VWAP broke, was one of the pre-market trades for sure, yeah.
So I have another question here about what could be a pre-market trade. I just pulled up this SOAR Volato group. So it looks like we actually already had a drop on this side. Though, know this is a little bit below the price level of what you normally look at, but you had this decent drop. You're coming back. A, is this one that you've traded yet today? And B, is this one that you could be looking at potentially later down the line today?
Not really, because as you know, this is a little bit below the price I like. I usually trade above 60 or 70 cents of a dollar. I have to say, with the new regulation, you don't have only to look at the bid price compliance, but also the market cap compliance. And it's 3 million. I think I remember 3 million. So this is trading above this regulation. So it's not pushing because trying to get in, avoiding the listing situation from NASDAQ. It's about news and everything. So I'm going to wait. If it breaks 38 and it goes close to the dollar, I might check, but not on my top list today.
Yeah, I have another one that I want to bring to you here. This is the CRE, Create Enterprise. This is still hanging out around pre-market highs. It's well above that dollar level, currently trading just above $6. Have you looked at this one? What would the game plan be for this?
Yeah, now we're talking other. Now you are finding the good ones. This is very tricky stock. We have some criminal record. Look, went from $2 to $8 a few months ago. Again here from $3 to $10. Again, all the way down. So we were expecting this one. First of all, never trade front side this one. Okay, it's a Chinese company. It's very, very risky. It has 1 million float only, with criminal records of crazy pumps over 100, 200, 300%. So don't short this one. Front side, Hong Kong, sorry, not Chinese, but Hong Kong with 1 million float and with criminal records. So don't never trade short front side when it's going up. Wait for some fail of highs and try to short there. Bad news here, we don't have locate. Well, we have locate. Price is ridiculous. It's like $50 or $60 per 100 shares. So you have to make half a dollar to scratch the trade. So it's something that I will avoid taking into account this locating price. If you, for longs, you know, it is difficult because this Chinese low flow, they go like 300% and then they fade all the way down. But if we hold this above $6 and try to fight the VWAP on the opening print, let's see, if we trade about $8, it could go to $10, $20, $30, whatever. Then above $8 or $10, probably we will see some liquidity trap. No liquidity over that price. No one is going to offer. No one is going to go short front side there. So if buyers come in and shorts have to close, we have a liquidity problem there.
Are there any other tickers that are on your radar heading into the open, or that you've already traded today that you want to share with us here?
Yeah, I think the easiest trade today, taking into account the low risk it had, was this RDIV. We sorted that one when it did the VWAP rejection. Oh, sorry, here. The VWAP rejection here, RDIV. There you go. Okay, it went all the way up. Look, we have the same pattern few days ago, okay, and sorry, a few months ago in February, it went from $12 to 40. Look at that, and all the way down from 40 down. So the same as in the other Chinese company. This is not Chinese. This is, I think, something related to New Zealand or something like that. US company, but with business in New Zealand. And look, don't short front side this one. But when it fails and start to go down, you have a tighter stop and a lot of range to take profit. Today we had the same, okay, went up very sharp to $20, okay, rejected there. And you could sure look here on the fail of highs, And if you don't want to be so risky, because here the volatility was crazy, you wait for the fade and then you short here against the VWAP. This is what we call the VWAP rejection. It is now below VWAP without any volume. No one is looking this one. And when you short, sometimes you need the volume to go somewhere else, and all the traders and algorithms just don't pay attention to this stock, and then it's going to go down. If you have a lot of volume, a lot of volatility, it will keep going up. So first short was there against the pre-market highs, and the second one even nicer, although it's $5 lower the price. It's nicer because you have a very tight stop and a huge winning rate on this one.
That's an interesting look. Thank you for going over those. I want to ask as well, I know you don't typically look at some of these larger stocks. You're really focused on the small caps, but I know you will occasionally take some of these blue chips. NVIDIA earnings are tonight. I guess what would make you look at this stock as a potential trade tomorrow?
I will, as I always say, I try to focus in what I think is my skill, and my skill is shorting, sometimes long also, a small cap. So for me, in order to trade a large cap, I need a lot of volume, and no trend, because I don't like when it goes trending only one side and, without noise. So if I see tomorrow that we are trading below, for example, this 205 or above this 225, 230, then we might have a lot of volume and a lot of volatility. I think within that range, 210, 230, I will not touch it because I have an idea what's going on, if it's going to break all-time highs or we're going to fade below 200. So I need a lot of volume and a lot of noise, so no clear trend, but just going up and down so I can go in the trade and out as fast as I like. It's another kind of trading. Sean probably will hate that. He will like to go in and follow the trend and ride the trend. But for me, it's, that phase. For me, it's easier if it goes up and down a lot, like 50 cents or $1 up and down, so I can get in and get out as fast as I want.
Well, thank you very much for going over all of that for us. Luis Barbado over in Barcelona, Spain at A Day Trading. You can often catch him in our chat at A Day Trading. And are you going to be here with us at 1 p.m. today on the midday?
Yeah, I will be there for sure with, I think, Obi and Joe, right?
Yes, Obi and Joe. You'll see Luis on the midday with Obi and Joe at 1 p.m. Great to have you on once again, and see you in just a few hours.
Thank you very much, Salvador.
All right, guys, thank you very much, Luis. Looking forward to more conversation during that lunch hour, guys. Make sure you join Obi and I and Luis during the midday show. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. A company reporting after the bell yesterday, INTU, taking it on the chin here, ladies and gentlemen, down 10.5%. We're going to get an equal weight rating, but Morgan Stanley is going to be reducing its price target from $335 to $315. Reason for the downgrade, the firm notes full year 26 results were solid, but full year 27 guidance was below expectations on the top line. While these lowered bars give the company flexibility, the burden of proof remains high. Moving forward, Dick's Sporting Goods, a name that was down substantially yesterday, and reason being for this downgrade here, going from a $255 price target to $145. We're down about 0.7% this morning, but we're going from an outperform to a market perform here. Couple of issues within this report here, guys. The firm cites the slowdown in demand for the athletic apparel and footwear. Reasoning for this downgrade. Telsey also states it lacks conviction in an inflection point at DKS until there is more innovation from the brands within the company's stores. Now we're going to take a look at some more positive things. Zoom, even though slightly negative here this morning, 6% to the downside. We're getting a price target increase from JP Morgan. $100, that is up from $90, but we're going to hold a neutral weight rating. But JP Morgan views the company's Q2 report as robust, led by strong growth in enterprise revenue. Zoom's online revenues also grew by only about 0.6% year over year. Challenges from a customer standpoint are weighing on the company's growth. Last but not least, we have SolarEdge. on our list here, 5.6% to the top side, going from a neutral to a buy and a $42 price target. That is up from $36 at UBS. The company is a key beneficiary of the ban on new inverter model imports. UBS also believes the ban will create a supply-constrained U.S. market, driving share gains and potential pricing power. Reason for the upgrade here on SolarEdge. Let's send it back to Adara.
Yeah, just quickly here before we get into the next topic, of those upgrades and downgrades, Neil, I'll start with you. Which of those really stood out as not just, being interesting, but maybe even as a potential trade for today, like intraday?
I'd probably go with Intuit. I mean, it's down double digits. If you go back to the May earnings report, that took them to a fresh low. And it was the way that it did it, I suppose, when we look at the chart. You had the dump down, but then there was a continuation day, at least a couple, and then you caught a bounce. So it did do a bit of a bounce and then gave you a chance to go back into the low and fade. You were already running a good 35% from the lows into this print, so there's plenty of room for it to go. If it follows that pattern, I think you have weakness today with 300 support, and you give it the 3-day rule, maybe you get a bit of a dead cat bounce, you can retest some prior resistance, but the trend has been pretty precipitous here. Like the 200 period is telling a very distinct story here with Intuit. I mean, long term, I think from a fundamental standpoint, they're at the forefront of what gets disrupted a little bit by AI, so everyone understands that. But the relief rally that has happened in some of the software names, well, it's all well and good. You still have to go into earnings and produce the numbers. So you're getting these little rallies in between earnings. Earnings come out on these names, and it's like, oh, the guidance isn't good. We're going back to the downside. So I think that pattern's unbroken.
Yeah, what about you, Sean? Any intraday potential with those upgrades and downgrades that you saw?
I like SolarEdge on the up. I'll take the upgrade side today. I think SolarEdge down from 8. Okay, I muted. Yep. I'll take SolarEdge. I'll take the upside today. Down 88% from its lows. Look what's happened. It's just bouncing off of a key level right there. I like that upgrade by UBS there, talking about possible area 42. That's in lines with the 200 period moving average. Really like that kind of a call to the upside, giving us a base right there. With tariffs being talked about here and SolarEdge moving their plants into Florida, I think it was Florida, Utah, and a couple other spots there, Florida, Texas, and Utah for SolarEdge. So obviously being produced domestically there, blocking out completely all the tariff noise. So I like SolarEdge right there, up 6% today, and trying to gather some steam off the bottom. So if you're looking to get into something that's not as data center specific here, SolarEdge on the move downside right there. They were recently booted off the S&P 500, I think, a couple of years ago. But this name definitely has some upside there, SolarEdge. I mean, just back in May, man, this thing was $80. So, down to 30, looking like we have a base down there from last year at this time. Let's see if $31 is a jumping off spot here for SolarEdge. So that's where I'll be looking, possibly putting some money to work down there, using 30 as a bottom. And I kind of like the whole no tariffs on SolarEdge now that they're producing everything in-house domestically.
Yeah, they're definitely part of the whole America First vibe. That is for sure. Now let's talk. I mean, speaking of America, we have this interesting China-U.S. story. Now we're going to get more into this on the rundown, Sia, because there are some stocks that could specifically be affected by it. But we're seeing here, Moonshot, of course, of China reportedly in talks with some U.S. cloud companies, and it's not the only sign of potential U.S.-China collaboration we've seen lately.
Absolutely. We have 3 companies in specific, to be honest. We have Microsoft, Amazon, and Google in focus. Moonshot AI is negotiating revenue sharing agreements with these companies. It will allow these U.S. cloud giants basically to host blockbuster Kimi K3 model. That is, also this is quoted by 3 people who are familiar with the talks but not been named. So these discussions are primarily highlighting how, like you said, Adara, China's leading AI models that are normally now another lookout that I want to bring into this is they're far cheaper than the Western models that we're seeing here. They're gaining traction also in the United States. But what baffles me is that this is coming in despite the national security concerns in Washington around these Chinese companies as well, and that ultimately had led to bans of exports of AI chips to China as well. So this is just another thing that I am curious to look at about. And just taking a look at this, that they are also taking place despite, like I said, critical comments from Moonshot, from senior U.S. officials that we've been hearing as well. And Moonshot is seeking up to a 30% share to look at financially of revenue generated from these K3 related services on Microsoft's Azure, Amazon's AWS, and Google Cloud.
So we'll get a little bit more into this and stock specifics on the rundown, but Sean, I guess I'm curious here as to your thoughts on the timing of this, because of course we're getting these, Moonshot, China, and U.S. talks with about a month to go until President Xi visits the U.S. Do you think this is kind of a smokescreen just to kind of placate things out of the conversation, or do you think there could actually be some traction behind these talks?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, we keep on talking about President Xi coming through and what that means to talk to Trump and figure out this whole, because China's been on the back burner with all this Iran stuff. So it'd be interesting to hear what that means. We saw Alibaba go to the upside on that kind of news as well with Kimi models. I think it's great actually for Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, all the hyperscalers here, because now they get to take advantage of a cheaper model. And they're going to be receiving some sort of tailwinds from that as well financially. The talk rate there is reportedly up to 30% of revenue share deals. So that's huge, man, for the big three US cloud providers. They're being able to host the Kimi model. I was saying this before. I thought that a lot of businesses right now, the fact of how expensive tokens are and whatnot with OpenAI, with Anthropic, with some of these models that have been built here in the United States and North America, China is going to be a cheaper alternative. And I think for very basic things, agents and whatnot, I think the Kimi model is something that's a little bit cheaper. Will force, players like myself that just use it on a basic side things to maybe cost a little bit cheaper for these hyperscalers. So I do like the story. It's not really affecting Google too much here today. If anything, it's up against the market, only down 0.1 versus the NASDAQ being down 0.3. So yeah, I think the big look, and I'll pass it off to Neil what he thinks here, but I think FXI as well, as we look to see, and we've talked about the FXI a little bit and how that market's been doing. Similarly to the NASDAQ 100, this is the China 100 stocks. I think there is a move to the upside here, and I think it's going to be helped by, positive tailwinds here with U.S.-China relations. And I think it does start with this whole Kimi, and maybe that is sort of an olive branch being reached out by big tech here in the United States and big tech in China. It's nice to see them getting together even before this big political meetup.
And you're also hearing, Neil, about HPQ and Huawei. I was reading about that this morning ahead of HPQ's earnings report. Interesting timing. And then also Apple trying to make that Chinese memory agreement, which is facing some resistance. Do you think if we have enough companies announce these deals that the government almost has no choice to allow them to go through? Or I guess kind of like, how would you view this from the perspective of other companies talking to some of these Chinese entities?
Well, I don't know if there's no choice. I think we still have to wait. I'm excited about it too, and I think this is positive, as Sean was saying. It's just, what if Congress intervenes? We know how that can divide things. You got midterm elections coming up, right? So if cooperation with China ends up being a hot button topic, you could see some pushback from Congress. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that would be the risk side of it. The HP deal was something that was already brewing, a little patent dispute that they got resolved. So it's kind of an old thing. So I'm not going to read too much into that one per se. But ultimately, it's a very good sign. And the other one, which is low key and almost has, it's a separate story, but low-key has something to do with this, is going back to Monday, the economic warfare and the fact that China is like about 90% of Iranian oil. They haven't actually done anything to any financial institutions. So they haven't actually made any moves.
That's true.
So that's a positive. They announced, we might do something, but then they haven't done anything. And now you get this news, which Sean said is an olive branch. So all signs are pointing to more positivity towards China. Now, of course, we're going to probably hear on the call about how, they want to have China open up, and Jensen's disappointed and blah, 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 that they're not making any money in China. So the numbers aren't going to be fantastic tonight. But there are multiple signs this week that things are looking toward progress. But just do not ignore the fact that Congress can flip this on its head a little bit if they decide to oppose these measures. And again, with midterms coming up in just a few months, there could be some pressure to push back against us cooperating with China and allowing the big boys to go over there.
You also mentioned there, Neil, which is interesting. I think this whole kind of idea of NVIDIA's China sales. I think once we start getting China sales, that'll be a really good look for NVDA going forward. Let's talk about a different AI company here. I want to mention OpenAI. Oracle dropping pretty sharply last night. Of course, as we got this report that One of OpenAI's executives focused on the data center build-out side of things is leaving the company. He's not the only one.
He is definitely not the only one, Adara, and we've been seeing, I would say, an influx of people leaving OpenAI, and it's actually quite a bit shocking, but you know what? Let's not question it. Let's just dive into what's been happening here. Head of data centers now, Chris Malone, has left the company as of late yesterday. Lots of reports coming in from multiple companies about this as well. He had joined OpenAI in March 2025 after previously working on data center infrastructure as a quote-unquote distinguished engineer as per his LinkedIn at both Meta and Google. And he'd also helped oversee OpenAI's ambitious infrastructure, I would rather say, plans, which included targets to spend roughly $600 billion on compute by the year 2030. So we also had an OpenAI spokesperson as of yesterday who said, and I quote, "We recently reorganized our infrastructure organization to support the scale and pace of our work. And we have a strong, deeply experienced data center team in place with clear leadership and the technical expertise to execute that plan."
Yeah, wow, reorganizing the organization, a little bit of a rough look there. And the other thing I want to mention is I was seeing Peter Doolin, another executive over at OpenAI, leaving to go back to Salesforce. So they're leaving, I think, at a pretty rapid velocity, as Sia mentioned. Neil, do you think, I'm not going to say do you think it hurts the IPO chances, because I think that's the question that's been asked a lot, but do you think, if you were OpenAI, would you be getting kind of scared right now? And how do you feel about maybe this, if not completely ruining their IPO chances, do you think they maybe push it back a little bit?
They should be more. What the concern they should have is CDS spreads widening and the cost of borrowing going up. Like that's what everyone should be worried about, not necessarily this. We've already seen, the push further back down the line of the IPO. It's going to happen. I think we've been told that. We'll get Anthropic first. So I'm not terribly worried about when OpenAI is going to come to market. It's the type of market that it comes into that we should be more concerned about, right? If the cost of borrowing continues to go up, and if the yields can go higher and corporate bonds look really appealing relative to, at least the big boys, like Google corporate bond might look appealing compared to the US Treasury, well, it's going to put some pressure on these companies. As far as the shakeup goes, at least in the short term, look, Oracle was the first thing to move the most on that headline overnight, or not, in the afternoon yesterday, and it was almost an instant rebound. You saw that. You saw Nvidia take a little bit of a dive, and they bounced back pretty well. As well, and it wasn't, dive's the wrong word. Like we basically bounced, I think went $1.50 to the downside, and then we bounced into the close. So both those names reacted to the algos selling on Malone leaving to just buying it right back up. So I wouldn't overreact to that. You got to be worried about spreads. You got to be worried about yields. That's the concern here, because it is circular financing and borrow, and raise. The rest, talent leaving, that's pretty normal, especially at this point in some of these companies' maturity.
Yeah, I want to mention here really quickly before we go to Sean, this topic is already going to be on our rundown, but I think it's worth mentioning again here. META pushing a little bit higher here, as I'm seeing court filings suggesting that Meta and the states involved in this trial have agreed to settle claims that their platforms harmed children. So looks like we heard reports of a potential Meta settlement. Looks like they actually are settling here. Again, I'm hoping I get more details on this before we discuss this during the rundown, so we can give you guys a little bit more. But we have these reports. Looks like it has now been confirmed. Also seeing that Oman and Iran are still working on the details of an agreement over the Strait of Hormuz. Bit of an uptick in oil. Nothing crazy here. But yeah, going back to OpenAI, Sean, I have kind of a different question here. Obviously, we're going to wait and see a lot. But as Neil said, the market conditions could be very different when we get this IPO. So what are your instincts as of right now, given what we know about the company, long or short on the open at OpenAI when that thing goes public?
Long, but the idea about it getting a little more messy, I think, is exactly what's happening. This is just the, it's not even the start. This is in the middle, is at the end. Who knows? There's been executives leaving OpenAI over the last couple months, and I think it's starting to set up for a little bit of a messy open for them. And again, I think there'll be a lot of money pouring into OpenAI. I don't think that there's just as many bulls as there are bears on it. And sometimes you hear the loud noise a little bit more on the downside than you do on the positivity. OpenAI is still an absolute monster, using up tons of gigawatt power. ChatGPT is still one of the most downloaded apps. We do have Copilot. The last Microsoft story was huge for Copilot. That's what started to get them back there to the upside. But yeah, you're marching towards a massive IPO and you're losing key members that are part of the data center build out that are well known in the industry. It can't be a good thing for them. Sometimes you do get reshuffling and title changes and whatnot as companies go private, from private into the public markets. They want to get faces out there and names being dropped. But when you're losing, you know, big executives like this, like a Chris Malone, it is harder to say everything is fine. So I think that as we move forward here with a hopefully an early 27 IPO, I mean, I'm not sure if we've even had an exact date, or we don't even know a quarter yet that this could be coming out. It just doesn't look like friendly fire right now at OpenAI. So for me, yeah, a little worried about it, but I think the playbook remains the same. We saw SpaceX go to 230 or so after opening up at 150. I think OpenAI does have a runway to the top side in the first couple of days. Really what's happening right now, I know you talked about Meta there. Meta, and this is kind of the thing about it, if you come over to my screen here, you know, sometimes there's so much negativity about a stock, and we talked about this yesterday with Australia, and like they gave up social media, and then the kids really didn't care about that, and we're still on it. They didn't really get a huge discount there that the government was looking for in the user time there, and now here, if all you have to do is pay fines to settle things,
we just got the fine. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay,
there.
go ahead.
About $16.68 billion.
Million or billion? Billion, okay.
16?
I was going to say
million, I wouldn't have even mentioned it.
You know, if that's million, then that's just Mark Zuckerberg, what he spends at the coffee shop this morning. But, you know, this is not even $16 billion. That is not even anything, which is why if you can settle on things like that, that is a huge win for Meta, man. Up now 4%. Maybe the downside is now, I don't want to say it's over, but nice move there for Meta as we take out the 50-period moving average. I know we're going to talk about this soon, so we'll go back to the desk.
Is that a coincidence that that's basically their cash position right now?
Ooh. Well, it's up to $16.68 billion. I should have specified. So they might even pay less. But
I mean, they could just do a debt raise again if they wanted to. I mean, not for $16 billion. They're not doing anything like that. Remember, they still do pay a dividend and things like that. Free cash flow shouldn't be a problem for Meta, but you're going to see right here, $16 billion. The market obviously likes it, regardless of what Neil, I or Dara think. The market likes that number, and Meta now up 4%. Let's throw it back to the desk, and we'll get this rundown started. We're going to flip around, and we'll start talking some stocks.
Let's indeed talk some stocks, and we can talk about these stocks using the template of our free watch list. This watch list has all of the earnings and economic data that are going to be in focus, things that you need to watch heading into the day, any stories that are in watch. If you read our watch list, you would have already known that Meta was potentially having the settlement. And look, it's actually number 2 in our rundown, so we'll certainly discuss it. But let's kick off here with NVDA, a name that we always discuss a lot at earnings week, and for good reason, because Nvidia, after much hullabaloo and excitement over this report, the report's finally going to be dropping tonight around 4:20 p.m. See ya.
You're right about that, Adira. Now I want to bring just a different kind of, I did yesterday talk about the estimates that are going to be coming in. So I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on a different angle. Nvidia has also quietly been building its networking operation here. We're going to talk a little bit about that. That's generated nearly $15 billion as of last quarter, Adira. And that's up roughly $3 billion from 2 years ago. Wall Street is now expecting this figure to approach the number or benchmark of about $17 billion. Company reports today after the bell. Curious to see how that outlook comes in here. Compute still draws networking inside Nvidia's data center business, but also networking has been going faster, is nearly up 200% year over year in the last quarter compared to 77% for the compute. And that pace, however, kind of slowing, I would say. Analysts are, however, expecting networking growth of roughly 134% in the quarter that are about to be reported, still ahead of the compute range of 100%.
Yeah, so lots of interesting things to watch out here for NVDA. How are you guys viewing this as a trade to date? Are you watching this? Because I know, Sean, for example, you're not always going to be trading these names the day that they report or on earnings day one. What is your guys' game plan for this stock or for the sector?
I think it had enough of a, let's call it like a defined range the last couple of days. I know it's the range, but it's also the gap from Monday that we were able to get. So the gap down here was when it broke down at 214 and then made a bottom at about the 210 level that had resistance around that price. And then we just traveled that range yesterday. So there's a bit of a range bound trade aspect to it. If it were to trend down, I'd look at the same thing. It broke trend, at 11:30-ish, right in here. Like there's your trend line break. It goes into VWAP. It was also then a VWAP long after that. So I think I'd play the more patient role with Nvidia, is not really trying to look at the 9:30 trade with it. Just play off of the moves it makes, expecting a bit of an inside day. And as long as we get that, we'll be fine. A couple of things to watch for tonight. Obviously, margins. You want to make sure that 75% stays. And you can't, and thank you, Randy, we just got a delivery. It looks like breakfast must be in. They just got a bananas, so we'll see what breakfast
I was looking
is.
for a coffee over there.
Wow. Always want a coffee. But it's not just, look, everyone's talking about circular finance and this and that. We want to see, assure us on the call that you can get some organic demand and growth in that regard. Not that you have to be invested in somebody or make an investment to prop them up or to get them to continue to stay in your stack, right? Like you want to make sure that it's not just about that. Like Nvidia doesn't have to be, they're turning into, but they don't have to be the bank of AI. You know, they can be more than that. And I think that's what I want to hear Jensen stressing a little bit. And maybe he'll have something positive to say about China, the way things have gone.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday NVIDIA was my number one trade. It was the number one idea on the sticky note, and it's not even on it today. I think Adara nailed my thoughts about it there. When, you know, will we look at it? Of course. I mean, it's only down a quarter right now. I think it's going to be fine. I'd rather just wait to see if we do get outsized moves on NVIDIA today. Like, I don't think it should go down to 210. So if we do get down into 210 to 211, I think those are buy zones. And, you know, coincidentally, I think the same kind of thing up here around that 214 to 215 area. You know, I think we play within those ranges today, and we don't really get an outsized move. So for me, if we get up here to 214, I don't think it's a breakout. You know, yesterday we were looking in the pre-market and off 7 straight down days for NVIDIA. This pre-market high just looked great, and it was the number one trade idea. And when it broke through, we got $3 straight. Like straight $3. I couldn't even get out fast enough. Like the market was just moving with me, and it just gave us those trades. So that was a great one. And we also bought the dips yesterday at the 200 period moving average. So we were already in this name by 927 yesterday. And then it just ripped up. We were $1.50 in the money by the time the market even opened. And then we took down that 1150 and we went, and that was the end of that thought. So I don't know if the algos turned off or what wound up happening, but it came all the way back in and gave you that exact same reload once again at 210, sorry. So if that winds up happening, man, let's get all part of that. I don't think there's an upside move today like that. So I think we wait for it to fade out. The market is heading lower, you know, this morning. So maybe NVIDIA to the downside is what we look for and pick something up. You know, we are staying late today. So get ready. It'll be around, I think 420 is generally the releasing spot there for NVIDIA. So stay late with Neil, myself, Adara, and I there tonight. Hopefully Joe will stick back with us, and we'll watch out for those numbers to come through. It should be interesting. You know, it's an NVIDIA watch party tonight here at Trader TV. Set your alarms for 4. Set it for 4. I mean, who knows when they're going to come out, but I think that's...
You got to get prepared for it.
Because we also have CrowdStrike, and we also have Synopsys, and we also have CRM, and we also have Okta. So it's not just NVIDIA, guys. Join us for all of them, and join us on X at TTV Research for a barrage of infographics as these numbers are released.
Yeah, I mean, how dare I forget about Synopsys? I mean,
well...
that's going to be a big one, but... Yeah, no, it's all good, Adara. It's just a joke. But no, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to be a big earnings day today. You know, CrowdStrike, I think, is also important. Is CrowdStrike on the rundown? No. So CrowdStrike, I think, is also an important name. It's been getting hit there. The AI narrative continues to hit those names. You know, is there going to be a line item in the budget for, as large as it has been, for some of these, you know, software type names like a CrowdStrike? You know, will they continue to support, you know, cybersecurity? I can't imagine companies, you know, lowering their cybersecurity budgets.
It's hard to believe.
And things like that. So, you know, as CTOs continue to, you know, monitor their data, you know, the last thing you want is a breach. So I'm surprised at how much they've been getting hit lately.
But they ran so far, so fast.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's part of the narrative too, right? Is how far they've gone. And I mean, we don't even have, you have CrowdStrike up, but you know, they've been getting hit lately. Down another 1% today is CRWD. Did Palo Alto already report, or they're later on, Adara? Earlier, yeah. So yeah, exactly. So not yet. We don't have that number yet for Palo Alto, but we do have the CrowdStrike daily chart. And Neil, it's fallen quite nicely, man. It's
fallen nicely, and we're going to get to Meta because that's still looking pretty spicy today. But the fact that you lost, this time you lost the 50 period SMA on the daily, and you've consolidated under and broken down. So look, I think it could be a bargain to be able to get this down around 170 bucks. If it dips on earnings, that's going to look pretty enticing because you go back to some of those levels from June and they look very spicy. A stock that is not going to the downside, like cybersecurity, is Meta. They get their slap on the wrist. Looks like they're moving on.
And that's weird. You actually just mentioned Palo Alto Networks, Sean, because we just got a story on them, like right now before we get to Meta, which feels almost karmic that you just mentioned it now. Palo Alto Networks, according to the information, reportedly considering, or at least at one point considered, acquiring Datadog, DDOG, and OKTA, the latter of which actually reports tonight. So if you're seeing some weirdness on OKTA and DDOG, both Datadog and Okta were reportedly at one point being considered for acquisition by Palo Alto, specifically CEO Nikesh Arora. Let's go over to META because, yeah, I mean, we were going to talk about this story anyway. It was already on the rundown because they were reportedly going to have the settlement. But the settlement has now come in these 29 states case here being settled by Meta.
And this is actually, I would say, a rather positive thing, at least, Dara, that I'm looking at over here. We were actually, it's crazy how quickly news stories change and how quickly updates come in. So just to give you a bit of a context, several state attorneys general, as of late yesterday, that is late Tuesday, had put out advisories notifying the media plans for certain press conferences. We had also included in that Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford, whose office had said that it planned to announce a quote-unquote major consumer protection settlement involving a leading technology company. Well, I guess that won't be really needed right now when we have Meta that has reached a settlement regarding allegations that their platforms are harmful to children, according to this court filing. So Meta now to pay up to $16.68 billion to states in the settlement.
Yeah, there's still going to be some smaller suits here against Meta. And as Sia mentioned, these press conferences are absolutely going to be on watch because if people say things about Meta, if some questions are raised, I'd be keeping an eye on Meta and I'd be very cautious with these press conferences in mind because 29 state attorneys general, that's a possibility for a lot of press conferences. How do you guys feel here about META from a trading standpoint or even Snapchat or related names?
Yeah, I mean, a quarter of its quarterly revenue as the maximum. Like you said, like that's slap on the wrist territory. I think there was someone in the chat was saying, "Oh, you could sell the news." 600 to 605 it does stand out as a level here on the daily chart, and you are at the 50 period on a bit of a bounce. But if this is what we're concerned about, and the slap on the wrist is all that they're going to be getting, like I'd rather not be looking for the fade. Like the question becomes, can you hold on to the volume weighted average price here? As I do suspect you will get some profit taking off of the open on Meta. And just in regards to the other side of this coin, only because Snapchat got mentioned, very muted move up so far, but it's one that can be watched. Like the reason this one's at least interesting is it's a $6 stock. So if you're into, the smaller names, fine. That'll give you one thing. It's right at this 200 for a potential breakout on Snapchat. And if you look at about 640, like the $6 level, and then 640, you get very spicy for them. Snapchat doesn't have a huge short flow, but it is 8%. So this is one to watch. It hasn't broken out in a big way on that daily till 640. But if this holds VWAP, you're talking about a 6 area break. 40 pennies is a 6 or 7% move. So it's got a lot of room to get to that breakout level on the daily in sympathy. But it is just a sympathy play. So when the sellers come in to take profit on Meta, you want to wait for that to subside before you even think about Snapchat. Because Meta's the one that got the slap on the wrist. Meta's the one that makes boatloads of cash. You're just hoping they drag these guys up with it.
Yeah, no, Meta's been obviously a dog in this race, but now it's turning into this stallion over the last couple of days. And I think we looked at what it was. Solar Edge we looked at was near the bottom there and caught a bid. It's how many times are we going to see Meta come into? I mean, I'm laughing because it's like there's so many levers, and we say this all the time on the show. There's so many levers that these mega cap names can pull. Like you're one headline away from they're selling their compute power, bang. They're adding a subscription service, bang, to the upside. And we got to 680. Yeah, that's a good one, I guess. We have a graphic for that. But yeah, 680, those were highs, faded out. 540, those were lows, bounced off of it. So I just feel like, I don't know if this is timely news or what, or if the market's just saying, you know what, this is still a big dog in the race, right? I mean, you're still $1 trillion company. You're still at, I mean, it goes back to, regardless of what the government actually wants people to do, they're going to do their own thing, right? Most of the time, right? I mean, look at COVID, look at a lot of these rules that get out of here, that get implemented in various ways. And I think this is just another one. We may not want our kids to go on social media as much as they're doing, but let's be perfectly, real about it. TikTok's been around now for 20 years. It's bigger than ever, right? This Google Reels and Shorts and all that, Meta with the Reels, they're bigger than ever, I feel like, as well. The sales numbers coming from these are absolutely huge. The search numbers that they're being put up on Google regarding Reels and what kids are looking up when they're going over to YouTube, right? So it's still something that continues to work, and I think that Meta is a very, very strong play if you can get it once again down a little bit from here. But congratulations. I know Joe's been talking about sort of buying some of these dips up, and there's been a lot of positive talk there on Meta over the last week. So today you get another story that's really helping the stock. I mean, the Nasdaq's down 0.3 and Meta's up 5%. So giddy up, Meta. I think congratulations to everybody that believed in this name. I did call this name, kind of like the new tobacco, and that's because, it's been pointed at, right? It's the feds are after this name. Many of the hyperscalers they're questioning the CapEx spend on Meta and what they've delivered from it. And I think that when you have, that's a new high, that's lower, that's lower, we're still going lower, we're still going lower, lower-ish. So let's see where now we get to. I'd really love to see a 680 take right now on Meta to bring this name back to positive land. I mean, first takes 620, and then we get back up there to the upside. So yeah, let's get Meta going again. And no matter what winds up happening, if I'm going to call it like the new tobacco, Altria, Philip Morris, all that, they still survive and they do quite well in various environments. So you just kind of get to get over that hump. There was a super chat I just heard in my ear. Okay. Not working on the super chats. So I can go back here and find it out. This is from Thomas. Yeah, been in Meta, there it is, since 7 a.m. So basically the question is why were you in it that early? Were we expecting this news to come out? If you were, then you got the proper story there. If I sell now and fade the open, then buy back when it dips, is this too risky? That is probably pretty much exactly what you should do. If you're thinking of, so first of all, it was just so you should always, coming up to $600, Thomas, Neil and I aren't here to tell you what to do with your positions, okay? But at the end of the day, I thought that was the same message. But at the end of the day, you did have a high move there up into 598. I think if you're asking us a question like that, I think a smart thing to do would be to sell half, play with house money. So if you're in it since 7 a.m., that means you're long around 578, 579, something like that. You just got let's call it a $20 move. That would have been to the high side. Let's call it $15. So if you cash out half now, you're in the money $15. So that's already put in your pocket, which means that you can absorb this all the way back into 560 and still be flat on the trade. So I love that idea. You'll see the way I trade. That's pretty much exactly what I try to do. The minute there's money in the pocket, I try to put it away, and then you kick yourself when it goes a little higher. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you're getting nervous hands about a trade, then exit it and work from there. So I think that's a great question. Trump suggests 22 ships passed through Hormuz last night. Well, that's nice to suggest that. There are actual, factual, and that might be right. I don't know. I just don't, the suggested part. I mean, that's something they can look up. And USO is down, 1%? Well,
it was down 1%
today. So I think the market is reflecting that. So, hey, I think both Neil and I agreed on this. Oil is like the next big sort of economic indicator that can really rally the market, because you have to wait for September 16th until we get that Fed meeting. There's going to be talk back and forth. There's going to be a silence period. That's fine. But if oil does continue to go down 1%, 2%, we come in tomorrow, it's down 3%. Those are headwinds, tailwinds for the market and headwinds for the oil space. So.
Yeah, we just arrows up after that.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Not for these guys, apparently, though.
Yeah, Zoom doesn't care too much about oil, but let's go find out what the story is there, and then we'll discuss what it looks like on the chart.
Yeah, let's zoom in on Zoom Communications, because we have here right now, I think it was a pretty decent report here for ZM. You had revenue growth of about 5% here for Zoom. And as you guys can see, decent enterprise revenue growth here as well.
You're right about this, Adara. Now we're going to just dive into the numbers a little bit. Second quarter total revenue has come in at $1.27 billion. That is up almost 5% or 4.9% year over year. Second quarter enterprise revenue at $787.5 million, up 7.8% year over year. Second quarter GAAP operating margin of 24.6%, a non-GAAP operating margin of exactly on the dot 40%. Trailing 12-month net dollar expansion rate for enterprise customers now has increased to 99% from 98% as of the same quarter last fiscal year, and repurchased approximately 3.7 million shares of common stock in the second quarter, bringing the total shares that have now been repurchased under the current plan to 44.2 million. 2 million.
Yeah, so repurchase is also in watch here for Zoom. What is your view on Zoom here, Neil? Is this something that you'd be day trading? Because it's not the most day trade-ish of stocks, for lack of a better term.
Not really, but look, it's better than Intuit, right? Like things weren't as bad as the Intuit number. Like the EPS guide was actually better than expected. So there's some kernels to look at that you can maybe like a little bit. The other thing would be, hey, Zoom wasn't exactly in a downtrend going into this. So whether you like it or not, I'm not the biggest fan, but whether you like them or not, it is coming back. And thank you, Randy, coming back into some prior support levels, which I think can be a nice, interesting little play for you here if we get any further. The 200-period moving average is about $91. It closed at 101, so you would do the obvious math. It gets to the 200-period today, and it's an SSR play. And the difference is, unlike what Deer was yesterday, where you got very, very muted bounces, there were a couple in there where you could scalp a couple bucks here or there, but given how far it was down, those weren't bigger moves. Zoom's not breaking through massive levels. Like your last support is just chilling in here in the low 80s, right? It's pulling back and even got some prior highs that prior resistance it's trying to chew through. Like there is a bounce play, technically at least, for this, but it would be lower for me. And then of course, the president, again, a lot of oil is pouring out of Hormuz. Maybe we don't want it to pour out, we want it to move out. Like, move out nice and orderly.
We don't want another one of those.
We don't need the Exxon Valdez there. We don't need that, but that's okay. As long as it's
wasn't that crazy back then? Like,
oh my goodness,
all the destruction in the environment and everything. I actually got
it's a massive disaster.
Maybe I'll ask one of the large language models to review that, because that was how many millions of barrels and everything that happened.
If you've looked at the Deepwater Horizon story too,
this is what I mean. Like,
even that
find out
crazy.
Like the economic damage or the environmental damage that happens with all that. It's absolutely nuts. Yeah, look, I mean, Neil just nailed everything about it. There's not much to talk about here with Zoom, to be honest with you, for me. I was even talking about this yesterday. Like, I'm like, people are still using this thing, and I was saying, like, I don't understand why it's even up here. So down 6% makes sense to me. You're always looking at the 200-period moving average. I go over to Dick's Sporting Goods again and say, you know, when a name is getting hit, and we heard Obi say the sad story of the TTC once again failing for him yesterday, and how he wanted to come in early and short this thing, but missed it. But it didn't matter. That's what I'm trying to tell Obi. I mean, as long as you were here at any time during the day, the short was fine. So, you know, I wonder if the same thing's going to, and it's down again here today. So even if you held it overnight, you're still fine. I think you got to give it 3 days. So now that you're approaching the 200-period moving average, I think that's basically an easy level. Like, if you like the stock, give it a couple days, see the reaction down here at the 200-period moving average. If it bounces off of it, then you have your long and you like the stock. So you're long at a great spot. We love the 200-period moving average. I think we've historically proven through many different charting examples throughout the 6 years we've been doing this, that the 200-period moving average is good. So if you come back into 90 bucks, you hover around there for a couple minutes, then you get back up to the upside, give it a couple days there for ZM, and then I think it's a long if we hold that 90. So it doesn't matter about what those report is. It's now over with. So you got to watch out for the technicals right now. Wait to see if 90 holds. But definitely, I don't think it's a bid here today underneath the 200. And I think it continues to fall. But I think that's about the implied move, right, Adair? I think it was probably 6 or 7% anyways. So, you know, downside, unfortunately, for the Bears, for the Bulls, but a good move there for the Bears on ZM.
Yeah, let's talk a little. We mentioned these hyperscalers earlier, but I want to talk about this more, less of like the China story and more of the trade perspective here on your Googles, your Microsofts, and your Amazons today, because these three Mag 7 names, specifically their cloud branches, in talk with Chinese AI company Moonshot.
They definitely are. So SoftBank, Moving on, I just went to the other story. Moonshot in talk with these cloud companies, negotiating revenue sharing agreements with 3 companies like we did talk about, Adara, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, that will allow these US cloud giants to host a blockbuster Kimi K3 model. Now, these discussions are highlighting how rather China's leading AI models are normally far cheaper than the Western ones, and this is known for a fact. And they're gaining traction in the US despite national security concerns that have also stopped, rather, I would say, and led to bans on exports of AI chips to China. We did see these, and we were talking about this quite a lot on the show as well when it did come out. So they're also taking place despite critical comments that have come in about Moonshot from senior US officials. But Moonshot overall is seeking up to a 30% share of revenue that will be generated from these K3 related services from Microsoft's Azure, Amazon's AWS, and Google Cloud.
So we've already talked about 2 Mag 7s on this rundown. How do you guys, Neil and Sean, feel about these 3 or any of these 3 on your radar for a trade?
Well, I mean, I feel like SMCI is going to move. As for these, I don't know. Like the excitement right now.
SMCI, you said?
No, I'm just joking around because like these aren't really moving that much. You have again Meta with an actual story, and Nvidia's got earnings tonight. Tesla, which we loosely consider makes them, it doesn't get put in a hyperscaler. That's probably going to move a little bit more. You look at Microsoft over the last trading week. What would you do with this? I'm pretty sure everyone would look at the 15-minute chart on Microsoft and say, okay, well, allow it to dip into the low 480s and then start thinking about the long, and everything else ignore. You probably look at Alphabet the last little bit, and you'd say to yourself, okay, this one tried to break out at 350, failed it yesterday, so if I want to be bullish about this story, the problem is this 350 fail and the 50-period SMA, so it needs to break cleanly through probably 52s, and then you're a little bit more excited. And we're in a weak market where it needs to go a 1.5 points before it even breaks out. So that's kind of a miss. And then if we're going to talk about Amazon, which this dip in Amazon in the 50 looks pretty interesting, 255. That would be a level to look at if we get down off of those lows for bounce, but it's also downward trending and diddling in the middle. So yeah, I like the story this morning. I like that things might be going the right direction with China. But who's that? What's that company that's really reliant on the hyperscalers? It's going to give us a sense of where demand is at. And that's right. Nvidia reports after the bell tonight. Nvidia, like these guys are like it's earnings day for Nvidia, but you look at the hyperscalers and it's kind of an earnings day for them too. So I feel like they could be more choppish inside, and I'd want to stay away. Like I look at something, and the reason I said SMCI, and we're not talking about it, like that exploded on that Cisco news yesterday. And a monster day for SMCI. Kind of gave the whole thing, went right into a local top for, the couple of opportunities, scalp short, I guess, at the 38.5, although really just some smaller wins. Like if it can hold on to these prior highs here at 37.5, there's a nice continuation play. You bounce off these lows, 37.5, and you have a potential breakout with more room to rally before it gets to the high. So my interest will be not in the hyperscalers until after we report tonight. Well, NVIDIA reports tonight.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with you on that sentiment right here. I only really have the sticky notes now out. I have the TQQs as a possible short. We wrote this down pre numbers this morning. So some of the levels of now, we're starting to get to the downside a little bit here on the NASDAQ. But I just think today here, markets are jittery ahead of Jackson Hole and NVIDIA, of course, there today. So I'm going to go short the overall NASDAQ, which means, can't be thinking about too long, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft and all of that. But the NASDAQ is starting to make moves lower. Watch out for that 200-period moving average. Like I said, when we wrote that down, 70.50 was kind of the top there from yesterday. That's what we're looking to fade out right now. Out of all of those names, though, I still like Google the most out of everything. It's not just a Gemini story. Waymo apparently is ahead of schedule as well. We have the robo-taxis coming. Waymo's coming out. We like the YouTube talk there. And I think also that settlement with Meta, a little undercover win for Google. If we're going to talk about social media, we talk about YouTube, probably the biggest one out there right now that's getting a lot of the eyeballs. TikTok's still not a public company, but Google gets a little bit of a tailwind there with that move from 346 up to 348 on that Meta news, now fading back just a little bit. But I still think Google can win on multiple things. I think the Kimi thing helps them. So that's good. I think there will be a lot of choice now for the consumer. I think they will choose a cheaper alternative. If Gemini can implement some of that, I think that's great. And if they can't, then there's that 30% revenue share. So I like the model for Google, one of the strongest names in the space. All right, one more little thing there. SpaceX analyst note, and then a minute and a half till we're open.
Let's talk some SPCX. So this wasn't really an upgrade or a downgrade. Wolf Research kept that $175 and strong rating here for SpaceX. But yeah, diving in a little bit more into some of their expectations for the companies.
Before I dive into this, I just want to know, Adara, they had announced plans to invest around $100 billion into the world's largest launch facility in Louisiana. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I mean, whenever I think Louisiana, I just think of the senators from Louisiana. I don't know enough about the region. I think it'll be interesting. I'm curious to hear what Louisianans have to say about it.
Okay, true. So Elon Musk has also said that the facility could eventually have more than a dozen launch towers and support 30 Starship flights daily. So based off that, Wolf Research has reiterated an outperform rating and a $175 price target, and has cited that infrastructure developments can expand and potentially can expand SpaceX's launch capacity.
Yeah, and it's time here for the opening bell. Good luck, traders, as we send you back over to Sean and Neil.
Yeah, 15 seconds to go here. Just
here.
Oh, less than 10 seconds to go. By the way, A&F is now up 20% on their earnings. They absolutely fly. So maybe a secondary squeeze. We saw that a couple of years ago. But the opening bell is ringing right about now on NVIDIA Day.
Ooh, I like that. It's
Happy
NVIDIA Day.
Well, it's NVIDIA's world.
We,
We're all living in it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's ever been more of a true statement than that, it seems like. All right, so one thing we didn't talk about on the rundown there was Moderna. Yesterday we talked about it being at that 130, up to 140, up to 150, up to 160, stopped at 160. So what about a 160 break today if the bulls come for Moderna? So we're going to be watching out for that one. Just a name that we didn't discuss there. On the rundown. SpaceX, here it goes, man. And we tried to get to it there, but ran out a little bit of time. SpaceX gapping higher into the 200 period moving average. Yesterday, a good short at 138, 139, 140. So the reason why it's so broad there is that it wasn't a clean move yesterday in SpaceX at all. 138 was good, then 140 was good, then 139 was good. So they all had their moments, but at the end of the day, if you held all day, you got run on some of those levels. So got to be careful there with SpaceX. Just a quick look at Meta. My ideas are there on the notes. Short the market, short IBIT, short Palantir, long Moderna. Meta giving it all back pretty much. So we had that super chat where I was like, play with house money, man, get out. There comes Meta back down. It was up 5%, now only up 2.5%. So half that move now coming back in. Look at the market go. Right now, blasting to the high side. Could be a Intel story.
No, Intel just popped and faded.
Okay, so yeah, I saw Intel pop, but coming back in right there. So yeah, right now looking to maybe short this market on a nice move higher here on the TQs.
Yeah, Q's going, but Intel popped right into pre-market highs. Sorry, not this pre-market lower high. Pre-market highs at 88. Call it 87.25. I mean, the big levels have been sitting at 89 and 90, which is what got put on the note. But we'll probably have to look at least this 87.3 into 88 for an initial fade. Bitcoin doing absolutely nothing.
I looked at IBIT thinking that maybe there was a fade there.
Gold and silver actually weak and looking like this could be a reversal though, because what I saw yesterday, I want to be hyper focused if we can on anything that fails the bottom and does that VWAP hold for a return play, but SLV not doing much. Moderna looks like it's the name that's moving the most off the open.
It's down, right?
Yeah, down into 150.
Yeah, 'cause I was gonna say I didn't
145. It looks good.
We have a new position here. I mean, it's just we told you we'd be into the TQs, so quarter of a unit. Starting to go higher. We had written down here on our note today that I liked sort of the TQs in between 70, 50, and 71. So we put on a quarter unit right now. I really hope this isn't the top. I'd like to try to get a little bit more up here if possible, because we just don't have enough in it right now. But we've been run out of these trades real early, real quick. So I don't want to start the day in a severe hole here, but we will try to see if we can get the price that we want so we don't get too excited about this early move right now. So that's $70, and there's a 70.40, 70.50. So I think if we can get up to 70.55 there, a decent look on the TQQs, and if we break from there, then we can get out. So I'm going to take a little bit more right here just because, and then if we do get up to that 70.50 area, 70.60 high, then we can get out. So 70.60 would be our stop here on Meta. So if you're following me on that one, 70.60 right now, potential stop zone there for the TQQs.
Okay.
Yeah, I did hear a story about Meta there.
The funny thing is because I heard the same thing. Like you were saying Qs, and I was hearing Meta, and it's about the fact that it gave up all of the gains.
There we go.
And
Get
it's now
down.
right back into $580. But I heard something else. Like it was.
No, it's just they're accruing 10 billion of that.
Oh, okay,
this-
gotcha.
In this
Gotcha.
current quarter,
Thank
yeah.
you, Adara. So there it is, 18 billion over 10 years for Youth Online Safety Initiative.
Over 10 years.
Over.
And not 18 billion a year. This is 18 billion over 10 years.
Like that's so.
$1.8 billion.
There's going to be a bid. It's falling right now, but
A
I think there's going to be a bid there. So I'm actually in underneath or above the volume weighted average price, which I don't mind here on Intel. But I want to wait for a chance to get some actual 87s on this if we can, and then look for the play back into the low. Nasdaq still doing its thing. Oh no, forgot about SoFi.
We'll go on with Uber. Uber's starting to go. You go ahead with SoFi. Yeah.
SoFi is a 1920 breakout today. So there it is, about 1920-ish. Higher lows, looking fantastic. Oh, but that's a potential breakout play. As let's go up to the desk.
Are we?
No. Okay, never
No,
mind.
not yet. I just want to say before we go, just quickly, I just want to show you guys Uber. There's a lot of talk on Uber right now. Maybe Sia or Derek can look for this one too. But Uber only up 2%, but a nice move there, straight upside. We did not sell our Uber yet. Maybe that was a good idea. Remember what we were talking about with Uber? We wanted to make sure that it broke above the 200 period moving average. It did that. Now that could be our out. But there goes Uber to the upside. Derek, what do you got for us?
But I do want to go over some of these headlines. I guess Meta coming out with its own guidance here after reaching that settlement to pay up to $16.68 billion to the states that were involved in this lawsuit. Basically, again, if you guys missed it, Meta with the settlement acknowledging or at least conceding the harm that their platforms caused to children. They basically said that they're seeing a legal expense of roughly $10 billion in Q3 2026 related to some of the charges here. They're going to be paying $18 billion over the next 10 years for youth online safety initiatives. Other than that, though, guidance ranges provided in that July earnings report, they remain unchanged.
There's another chicken dinner winner to start the day again. I always feel a lot of pressure to put up winners, but some just trading naturally comes pretty easy. So there it goes, just into those levels. We actually we only had a quarter of a unit. We wound up having 3/4 of a unit there as we talked about putting on a little bit more pressure into the TQQs. So there it comes into the downside. We're out now of just under half of the position as we want to take some out at VWAP at the 200 period moving average. Your first trade of the day matches with our sticky note there as the #1 trade idea with that short. So if you put on actually any real shares up there, maybe you're done, but stay with us all day. There goes the TQQs. Nice move higher, right back into VWAP. Let's go, let's collapse all over itself. Hopefully a big day already brewing for the NASDAQ. Nice upside move, now just fading back in. Watch out for VWAP, man. Don't get too greedy on a day like today when we're a couple days ahead of Jackson Hole. We got an inline number, and we do have Nvidia later on. So let's make sure we do capture some of this profit here. As you can see, it's coming right back up to the upside. So just one of these things today to be careful for. I don't actually believe there's many numbers coming today other than what we've already
what we've already got, but I can tell you if you didn't just capture profit there, Intel was just 50 pennies down, we got our first take, and then it breaks that lower high. And again, I'll use a tight stop here. I'm not going to give it to the absolute high a day because look at the strength that we're seeing. So you want that first move to get you into the volume weighted average price and then move on to the next. But it can still put in a lower high. I want to try to be patient. If you get a lower high, we can maybe grab another re-entry lower or let it press. Allow it to press into the levels that we liked a little bit better. 88 and in 89 we're going to be bigger levels for myself, so we can always go higher and wait patiently for that entry. SoFi is still okay. SoFi is turning in front of that 19.2 break and possibly pulling back here. This could be a nice little VWAP 19 even play for SoFi. It's only up 1% or just underneath 1%, but I do like what we're seeing on the daily chart with that stock. We went over some of that. 20 is a bigger breakout for SoFi on the daily, but I think the 1920 still looks pretty solid, which could go any second. SpaceX is, I don't know. I was about to say crashing down, but I don't like that one. And if it actually flies, I don't want to say crash. But SpaceX is giving a lot of yesterday and the day before back as we speak. So SpaceX looking weak. Moderna, looks like it's not going to be that 160 day for Moderna again. It's just asking for a 160 break, but Moderna heading to the downside. 145 would be the key price level to look for at the bottom. Otherwise, I might be sitting out Moderna here today.
All right, yeah, we're looking for that 160. I'm gonna do it. I mean, there we go, man. We did it again. We reloaded. I don't know, man. I mean, we saw it fly to the high side there. We got another 20. We got a 23. We just took it out there at 04. So that's a quick 20 cents. Let me put another bid right here, and we're still holding on to obviously the majority of this trade. I mean, we just reloaded it, so we got 1 unit on right now, and there we go, another out there at 12. So, you know, full unit on. We've now gotten out of a little bit as it's coming back into the downside there, as it's was my number one idea today, so we're happy with that one. XPON, we're just hearing again, another move, XPON. This was a move that happened in the last couple of days. XPON now starting to go back to the upside. We did have a nice move into $4 or $5. Now it's upside there into 7. I am not going to say 6, 7.
Yeah, you can.
Just did. But there it is now breaking higher on XPON. You know, a short flow name, I believe under 1 million shares, trying to get going one more time there. But now we're 25 cents in the money. The slapper is happening right now for us. Let's go, man. We're having that day one more time. But look at that. It was just at 93. We missed it. So we'll take an O's there. We'll put it back at 93. The market's still pretty volatile right now, trying to figure out what it wants to do. I don't think they were weaker than expected PCE or GDP numbers, but the market's not really reacting too much to them. I mean, this was what the market was before those economic numbers. Right there, this is the 830 level, and we made a move down. We retraced it all the way back. So, you know, I do think there is still potential to get there back to the downside as the market will digest some of those numbers that had flown through. So we're just taking more bids, man, on the downside. It's TQs. It's our trade idea number 1. What's up, Adara?
Meta continues to drop as we get more details on what they're going to have to introduce here for their teen users. So they're going to be having a 2-hour daily time limit for users under the age of 18. They're also going to be turning off access to their apps at night as a default. And I think that's apparently going to be 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Again, this is for minors. No notifications during school hours, clearing prompts and notifications to teens every 15 minutes of continuous screen time. And they're also adding new parental supervision controls so that parents can decide how their youth use their apps.
18. Okay.
Which I thought was odd too.
It's like it's okay. You can go to war. You can do all that kind of stuff, but you can only use social media for 2 hours.
And what I
That's
also
enough.
don't get is like for under the age of 18, like I went to university at 17. You're saying I can't use social media, but I can live on my own. Like the 18 thing is weird.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. That's so ridiculous. Like the thing that always gets me is like once you're of the age that you can serve your country, like what are we even talking about? What are we even talking about? But that's the kind of thing that is what it is, and you sort of move on to the next.
Yep.
But that's mind-boggling to me. SoFi is going to be at We're back into Intel off the prior high, which is going to be 87.33, and we just did I even get SoFi? No, I didn't get filled on SoFi.
Okay. What is it doing? Breaking through 20?
Oh no, I did. There we go. Well, that was
19.
slow.
Sorry.
Yeah, it came back into the 19 level, and it bounced almost exactly off the prior high in here. So there is SoFi. It's like 19.03. We're just trying to pull it back. I do still prefer the breakout at that 19.20 level on SoFi. That's this high from 2 days ago. So that's going to be the focus. If we can get back into it, long inventory into the 19.2, and then potentially an add if we break that 19.20. Although my thing says 19.21, but I didn't actually see it break out, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it actually broke. I should be filled if it broke.
I think it did. Let me check SoFi. Yeah, I mean, the high of the day was 19.21 just on e-signal, but yeah, briefly up there. I was just talking to myself, like as per usual. I don't know if this futures are going to hold. I mean, I'm still bidding down here in 85 to see if we can get the 25 period moving average. I don't know. It's kind of been pretty choppy here right now off the open. So let me take another bid just real quick here. We just did. Okay, I didn't even have to put my order out. I was already bidding there and I wasn't sure. So there's a 91 or 92 fill that we just got there off the 200 period moving average. It keeps on bouncing off of this. I will take another short at 40 against that 60, but this is starting to look like maybe it's a towel throw-in now, as the market is pretty evenly keeled up here right now as we dance just a bit on the NASDAQ. So we'll take a little bit more on the high side there. We'll see if we can get into a few more units. But for right now, I'm pretty happy trying to empty out some of that TQQ position. So just be careful with it. I'm not really, I thought there would have been more of a push. The fact that we bounced now on the NASDAQ off of VWAP and most likely as well on the S&P 500, it's the negativity early. It's only 943. It just doesn't seem to be there right now for the market. Dick's Sporting Goods down again, another 0.2%. I mean, it was almost down 1%, 1.5% earlier, right there off the open. But okay, see, there we go. So the market just quickly.
Yeah, who'd
I don't know what just happened there, but we just busted through the top, basically on the market. So we said that we would try to take a short in and around this area. So that's what we will do. We'll see if we can get something out here. We're only short at 40. I'm not sure I really love this move anymore. See if we can get something out there. There it is, 34s or whatever I put. We'll see if we can get a 30 bid as well. But that was that short that we wanted against 60. So my offer's already there. It looks like, I don't know, that kind of move just happened. Did you hear anything in your ear? Because
I didn't hear anything. I just
want to make sure my ear's working.
I just saw Tesla. I haven't even looked at Tesla. I just saw Intel break the high and slept to fail on it.
Yeah, exactly.
The second it did. And then even Moderna, everything I looked at shot to the upside. Moderna caught this candle back through 150. This is the reversal, but it's a little bit early. I wanted 145 on Moderna, which was, I guess it's too obvious. That's the breakout price from yesterday. But if we're just going to hold above VWAP, $150 is as good as any on MRNA. And by the way, I know Meta is a big story today.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's now down 1%. And they are absolutely dumping this. Like, do I think this was a good outcome for Meta? It sounds pretty good to me, but the market is hating it.
Well, I don't think it's even about. It's just about the rules.
It's the new rules. It's not the settlement. It's the new rules that they don't like, and I'm scratching my head at some of them as well, to be honest with you. But it doesn't really make a difference what your personal opinion is about something that's looking like it's going to happen. I think it's ridiculous, but it doesn't matter what we think here. That's going to hurt them. I wonder about Snapchat. I'm just sitting. I have a couple of offers in front of the 120 on SoFi, which, I think I got pretty lucky that I didn't get filled on the breakout, to be honest with you guys. Because if I'm filled at 21, I would be out of the money right now. But instead, we got the dip. Snapchat, if you thought it was bad for Meta, Snapchat's down 8%. Snapchat is getting moked here. So, it's not looking very good. Sell the news event, as always. It seems. But I think it's not really sell the news. I think it's really just about these restrictions. 18 years old.
Yeah, no, it seems a little bit ridiculous. We are, so the TQs just dropped into 35s again, so we took another fill there. Just trying to take that 5 to 10 cents on the TQs early as we try to save some of the P&L. We'll be flat if this gets run. There we go. We are now very, very close to getting stopped out. We're using the 70-60 right there as a level. So we got to be careful with that breakout. The market seems to be a little hotter right now. So although Meta continues to be cool. Nvidia, and didn't I say that about Meta? I said good news, boom to the upside, then retrace back down. We've seen that happen so many times there on Meta. It looks like it's happening one more time there today. Nvidia, cool, man, up 0.2. We'll take it. Nice move there for Nvidia so far today. Does get into that. Remember what I said, 210 could have been an area where we look for those outsized moves to happen on Meta. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I wouldn't have, we could talk about it all we want. I wasn't ready to do anything into 210.50. So that's a nice move up. There goes the futures. Yeah, we just take another fill down there. That was a good one. A 31 just filled for me. So, a nice little 15-cent win there on the TQs. Let's see if that keeps going. I did want Palantir short 170. I didn't want it short, but that's something that we were looking at. Sorry. Was Palantir 173 short? My bad. That's right where we are right now on PLTR at that 173 marker. So, yeah, I think this is a good little level to watch out for. The 200 period moving average on your 5-minute chart up here, 174 and change. So looking to see if these little bottom ticks here on Palantir are levels that we want to fade. I feel like it's a little dangerous for me to get into the Palantir short, considering we're already short the market. But the market short's been really printing. We're only at a third of our day's goal so far with this, but hopefully we get a little bit of a downside drift here. And we can make some of this tick, right? So 1 for 1 so far today, but this is a very dangerous play. And I am looking at Palantir now for the short side of the trade. Just before I throw it back to Neil, Weto, we've seen this on here before. That's halted.
That was an offering this morning.
Yeah, okay, so it did halt. I guess, yeah, the offering doesn't seem to be that bad, I guess, but the halt is what sort of sent this one. 24 opens, halts down to 19. So good look on that one on the halt. And then VCIG there, another name that could be a low floater today, down 10% and off of a halt there at $3, VCIG. We do apologize. You probably can't hear it that bad in the background, but if you do hear anything, it's not that we're having audio problems. They are drilling down there below us because they struck oil. So we're waiting to hear the take on that one. But yeah, we apologize for that, and thank you everybody for your patience.
Yeah, absolutely, and we appreciate it. And the other thing that's going on, so SoFi did break that top. We took some out, so you'll see a blended price because I did take some out on the scalp off of VWAP, and then we added maybe less than we were going to before because we got the dip. So I'm looking at 19.4 as a bit of a target here. The 50 period or the 200 period on the dailies at about $19.50 on SoFi. So I think that's where we're going to try to trend into. Moderna is the other name that's really starting to get on the charge here. It's done the VWAP retrace. Now got to confirm that we're holding over that volume weighted average price. If it can confirm that hold, I think there's a rebound play over in that bad boy. And then SMCI, which we said we were going to trade today, is also doing the same thing. It's doing the VWAP reclaim. It bounced off the 37.5. That was our prior support. So if it can close over VWAP, then I like the VWAP reclaim trade back into the high as well. So yeah, not a lot of small cappers that are catching my eye. It's just Moderna's the one. Ooh, that just lost it. Oh, it just lost the volume weighted average price. I should be willing to play this in either direction. I want it to be a long, but if you lose VWAP and break 150, that's probably headed for 145 as well.
All right, another trade for your boy over here. Not a reloaded trade. It is just a siren trade because we're in something now. So Palantir, 170. We wanted 173 in Palantir, right? So now we get what we want, and it rips up to that side. So here we go again. We'll see if we can take a bid. I'm actually at 55s. I thought, yes, 172.55. Just printed 56s. We'll see if we get a 50. There it is. Yes, sir, Neil. Yeah, let's go. Another winner right there for you on PLTR. So a nice move there. We're not out of the woods yet. Let's take another fill there at 50. See if we can get a little downside play there. And the TQQs go boom in the night, down into 22s right now as well. 2 for 2 so far on just the two ideas that we posted up on the note, right? I mean, if you're going to follow, give your boy a little bit of a look there on the Twitter machine, I guess called X. Right now, we'll take a little bit more out here as we watch to see what Palantir wants to do. 172.25. We just got 172.30s right there. If we can get something down to 172 at this time of day, we will take that one right now as the market falling down, Palantir falling down. And man, we got it there so far here today. Let's see how diamond those hands exact. There we go. We'll get a 20 fill there on Palantir, so we'll take that. Let's see if we can get downside play now in the market. Yes, there it goes, man. There's your first one. I mean, dollar. So there goes Palantir to the downside. So good trading there. And again, it's just off of the note, right? The top two plays that we have, the Qs there and Palantir, the two ones that came through. Those are the big ones. We have Moderna long at 165, IBIT with a little bit higher of a short trying to come through. Let's go futures. 2 units on this one, man. This is a big trade happening right here on the NASDAQ. We just need to make sure that we get out when it does make moves like this. There goes Palantir as well. Dollar on Palantir, monster move on the Qs, daily goal hit, but we don't know, man. All position pending. These names could all fly back upside down right now. So far, so good here with some of those trades.
Yeah, and as the market's going to the downside, going to make sure we get some profit on SoFi because I feel like that could turn around at any moment with the market, but it's still heading higher. We got MRNA back in through that $150 level, so it did the break underneath VWAP. It broke the 150. Like the over-under at the volume-weighted average price. Got to be able to play it as a rejection as well, but we just took it into 149 and didn't get the fill. I'm going to stay there at the 149 level. Phil?
Yeah, what's up, Phil?
Phil McCracken?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Let's see if we can get this one down to 149 even. 145 is still going to remain. I still think it's a long at 145, so if it gets down there, we're looking reversal, so we'll probably get out at 146. But you got to be willing to give Moderna at least up into that wick high. 150, it's like 152-ish. So
yeah.
It's about what we got out of it yesterday, but you got to be able to give it to that 152. As I said, we got some out on SoFi. I'm going to continue to play this one on dips. The trend looks pretty good here. We're getting nice higher lows, so this one looks pretty solid. Maybe into VWAP at 1909 if we get it again. The breakout trade, taking a couple of legs out into 19.3, so I think the ad needs to be closer to the volume-weighted average price for sure. UiPath apparently is moving up. Oh, yeah, Dix, that's what we didn't talk about. DKS, I guess day 2 is the rebound day because DKS is on an absolute tear to the upside. Yeah. It's been all green. It bounced about $6 or $7 if you're looking for levels on DKS. I'm only reminded of the 130 because that was was a long consolidation there and then was a little bit of a bounce. Like that little bounce was pretty much the best long you could have gotten. It was a 132 into 135. So if it gets to that level, I think you can play that for a bit of resistance. Right, come on, Moderna.
Yeah, let's go Moderna. Let's get Moderna going there, breaking through that 150 marker. All right, so just a quick little talk about the positions I have. We've really emptied most of it out now. That Palantir move gets right into the 25-period moving average, so we do take a lot out. We're taking more out even as we speak now because, like I said, this market today, pretty volatile. I mean, it doesn't really look like it's been that crazy, but the moves down have all been bought up. Like, I was actually really surprised that this TQQ move happened again. So, you know, just sat there, took some profit right there at the 25 period. We really like those 25 period moving averages, especially on momentum plays. So let's just continue to do that. Remember, $70.60, yesterday's high, is where we eventually get stopped out of this one. And I say that because I do think there's a good chance that we run that, which is why I'm not going to average in any more whatsoever into the TQQs. All right, XPON, we talked about that one early, and there's the halt. We talked about this even before this move sort of happened. This was about 10 minutes ago. There goes the move, XPON. We talked about it there. So if you were looking at that, congratulations. There's the short off of 850, but it's now 867. The halt happened at 866. So let's see if that now creates a downside move for XPON. Right back into yesterday's highs. And that happened after the market closed. So right there at 4 p.m., the stock just absolutely ripped up. So those are the levels that we're talking about now on XPON as the market's at highs again. So getting close to being stopped out of the futures. Palantir is still fine. It's underneath 172. Yeah, Alibaba's a good one there. PSOX halted. That's not a name to look at. OLOX. This could be one. Here we go. OLOX. 4 million shares. Lots of volume. Lots of liquidity right now on OLOX. Dancing around some key levels. This name has actually gotten hit pretty good. The key level of $2, maybe $1 still to come. That looks like that reverse split 10 to 1 to 10 there. Nice move up and then now a nice move down. OLOX starting to dig around a little bit here.
Yeah, and speaking of digging around, Meta's digging for bottom here.
Okay,
It does seem. Moderna's still right at that 150. It's just battling back and forth. It feels like if Meta tries to rally, which it is, wow. How is Snapchat already at VWAP? Yeah, well, Snapchat's already at VWAP. My thought was if you can get Snapchat off the lows when Meta's trying to go, that would be such a nice sympathy play. But remember, Snapchat's, they're going to go as Meta goes. That's just going to be the way of it today. I would have preferred it to play Snapchat to the downside on weakness, but yeah, we'll have to work away from that. I thought you could get like an advantage by punching in a little bit late. So Moderna's holding under VWAP. I haven't scalped 50 cents on this stock because I don't usually like that notion, but I'll stick a bit in there if that's all it's going to do for at least a little bit because the market is coming to the upside. SoFi didn't pull back far enough. In fact, it only pulled back to the breakout level at 1920. So it's not a change of plans yet, but if we just consolidate above 19.2, that was the breakout price. I think adding there would make a little bit of sense. For now, we're going to wait for VWAP to be sure. What else are you guys watching? We haven't really talked about your favorite stock, Disney. Just Disney in the chat, Disneyland Royalty is saying watch SpaceX.
Okay, yeah, it just was making new highs.
Yeah,
There goes
I'd
the
say so.
Qs.
This stock is flying. Where's our resistance here? Oh, right here.
Yeah,
We're at yesterday's highs right now at $140. You know what? Patience would say maybe let it run that top because 41 could be a bit of a thing. Yeah, I don't know if I want to step in front of that one. The market's strong enough. Fighting that when we're already in a Moderna short, it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. So stick with Moderna. There might even be an add to this on Moderna if it can just show me some real weakness underneath VWAP. Like take out the 150 again, and you can convince me that we can be adding back into this position. So kind of a quiet one in some of the mag names, really, because it's all the Meta story.
Yeah.
Yeah, Meta's not bouncing. If
Yeah.
Meta fails that bounce, I could convince myself to short Snapchat.
All right. I was thinking about a long on Meta if it does. I mean, that first of all, the TQs ran the top, so we got out at 60, just as we said we would. That's fine. It's yesterday's level. If you want to go short again, you know, you can do it off that level, but I'm not going to. I feel like the market today, it was red. I mean, we got those numbers. They're being treated quite well right now. So I think the short could be there for the TQs, but I'm not going to take it again. We ran it early and got ran late. So I think it's important that we stay away. I did average in, and again, we don't have, my stop on this one is 173.50s. So it's going to be a good stock, a well traded one today. But I'm going to take one more average in at 172.25, sorry, 173.25, and then stop out at 173.50. So we take a little bit more here at some of these levels right now on the short side for PLTR. But if the market continues to go higher, then that 173 will be squashed. So we'll get out of that one. Meta, I think on the way back up can possibly be a long. So META breaking through there it goes, breaking through 72. I actually quite liked that trade and we missed it because I wasn't focused. Darn it, man. I like that 572 break long there. It's too bad we missed it. If we do have a little bit of a comeback in, we'll take the long. There it is. So now we're filled up a little bit now on Meta to see if we can get that long to go through. 172 is what I liked on that one, but sorry, 572. I keep saying 172. We're now long Meta, looking to get a little more. We could try to play it off that 25 period, which is 569 right there, but we're long now into Meta. Just like a quarter of a unit here, watching out for a break back down below 570 for our stop. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. We'll see if that wants to work out. Long Meta right here around 572, just giving it a breath. Like if it breaks below, it breaks below, but that would be around that 570 marker. So we'll put that stop in now, 569.99. If we do happen to stop out there, then we will punch out. And I don't know what the liquidity is going to look like. I'm sure it's going to be fine.
On Meta?
On Meta, yeah. So hopefully we don't get too much slippage. But now we're long on Meta here at 572.30s. Let's see if it wants to work itself out to the upside right now. Adara over there with happening now. It looks like we may get stopped out of our Palantir trade right now, but we are long Meta. That's the one I'm more concerned with. But let's go back over the desk with Adara.
Right now, S&P 500 green on the session. There is some volatility driven by a Meg 7 name. We'll talk about that in a second. NASDAQ looking pretty similar to the SPY here. And USO also in focus and also, as of right now, actually a little bit green on the session. We still have some talks here with Oman, Iran, and the U.S. over A, the control of the Strait of Hormuz, and B, if we're going to get another memorandum of understanding or hopefully some ceasefire deal officially and formally with the U.S. and Iran. Let's talk Meta. Big gap up here as we get a court filing showing that the company reached settlement with these 29 state attorneys general over these claims that Meta was leading to mental health harms for youth. Then we get some more details of the agreement and we see the stock start to sink. Basically, if you're under 18, there are going to be a lot more measures put in place here for users. That includes only 2 hours maximum per day. And no, there's a 6-hour period where you're not allowed to access the app at all. And parents are allowed to control the usage further. So could be a bad look for usage or user metrics for Meta. Definitely not a bad look for ANF. Abercrombie and Fitch we have not mentioned yet, but yeah, I'd take this if I had one wish. This thing up more than 30% today, near that 145 level on a better than expected earnings report. And how? Because look at this Q2 beat. This is quite significant. We also had Zoom on earnings day one, BBWI on earnings day one, KSS on earnings day one. There's a lot of earnings day one plays, mostly in the retail space, and Intuit also one of those. And tonight after the bell, it's not just Nvidia, though of course Nvidia is going to be the star of the show. You're also going to get reports from the likes of Synopsys, CrowdStrike, CRM, Okta, Agilent. Check out all of those with us, but of course we're going to focus on Nvidia after the bell today as we send you back over to the guys.
I don't know why, thanks, Adair. I don't know why I was so afraid of that Palantir trade. I mean, we got some more out at 173, 172.50, 172.30. So right now, man, good trading there on Palantir. And guess what we took? It's $1 in the money right now on Meta. So that was a good trade there. We did take some out on that high side. We took out about a quarter of what we had, waiting for more now. Let's wait for VWAP. Well, actually, I'm waiting for 576 right now. If that can come through, then great. But let's see if Meta has the juice to get there back up to the upside. But hey guys, the markets, as we've seen lately, have been extremely active. And for most traders, this environment creates opportunity. Big moves, more setups, more momentum. To take advantage of these conditions, you need two things: discipline, the sticky note, and access to capital. And that's where Trade the Pool comes in. Instead of being limited by the size of your own account, traders can access firm capital and focus on executing their strategy and, of course, managing risk. No more fear of blowing up your personal account. No more moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your own savings. This is what they call limited risk trading. So if you do want to take advantage of the volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital, please go ahead and visit tradethepool.com today and get all your prop needs over at Trade the Pool. Yeah, so far there goes Meta. Let's go, man. It's your face slapper one more time. $2 now in the money. And again, it's a $500 name. So, we do have a huge expectation for a move here potentially. But there it goes, man. Just take the profit where the profit lies. Remember what our stop was $2. So, now about 1-to-1 as we continue to go upside. We could take out a piece right now. I was going to go, there you go, 574.50s out right there. There goes Meta. We talked about the replay on this one. It was a downside move. Breaks through 570, missed the 570, get the 572s, and there it goes, man. The rest is history. Now $2.50 in the money over there on Meta. So a long and a short over here. I see you're kind of mixed over there.
Yeah, it's a mixed story as well. We got SoFi that just bounced in the VWAP. We reloaded that, but a trend break. So Intel, which obviously didn't work on the short, actually never really broke out that prior day support level. So when it breaks a trend, we're just jumping right back in on a trend break. It's also underneath VWAP. Simple story, it gets above VWAP. This is not a high of the day play. If it gets above VWAP, we're out. We're going to play for the low of the day there. SoFi pulled back and is bouncing off the volume weighted average price here. Got in at that, we loaded at that 20, the breakout price. Originally, of course, we're playing it into 9s. So I still think anything above that 1905 is good for SoFi. And we're going to look to get to that HOD. Moderna, just to go over, and we'll get to SpaceX. I know a lot of people are talking about SpaceX. Moderna, same thing. It has not, like that wick under VWAP, it's held. But again, if it breaks 152, you just have to jump out. It's not really moving much to the downside when it's pulling back. And that's the thing. It's not running the stop, but it's still gliding high. I think there's plenty of room down if it gets there, but you got to play it both ways. I put in my note, intraday, it'll often set up breakout plays. And for now, this 152 does look like a breakout play. So you got to get out if it goes to that price. SpaceX, it did get up to a key price of, I was saying maybe let it get to 140 to 141. It didn't even get there. SpaceX looking like it can be a little bit dead. And Snap, that was the other one I was watching. Meta might be breaking out, but Snapchat's losing the volume weighted average price, believe it or not. So this actually feels like it should be a fade anytime if Meta turns. I mean, I'd wait for Meta to turn to look at that Snapchat fade. So the new one is going to be back into some Intel, but I'm looking for the LOD here. And if anything, I think it can be added to under VWAP on any scalp. This stock has been down almost every single day. Like yesterday technically was an up day, believe it or not, on Intel. Like I think just barely this was an up day on Intel. It gapped up and then filled in most of the gap. Just playing back into Monday's lows seems like it makes sense for me. Market up, Intel down. Clearly the stock is relatively weak. We got a super chat from Vinu. Thoughts on Intuit? We didn't talk about Intuit and didn't really love. Don't love the chart. Don't really love the quarter. But that bounced. I thought maybe 300 made sense, but I guess it bounced right off the 50 period. Hey, if you like 50 period and 200 period moving averages, those are good places to die. I'm just not a huge fan of the stock. I don't like the long-term outlook for them. They're kind of right in that hyper-disrupted space, and it wasn't a very good quarter. Another one from Shap, coin before September clarity news. Bitcoin's quiet today. That's the first thing. Very unexciting day for Bitcoin. Every day's been much better, but they're running this sucker anyways. It doesn't even, forget about the clarity act. It's like 50-50 that this thing passes, and we're so focused on it. And then even if it did, it's not going to be into like sometime next year. It's like 50-50 that it passes by 2028. And this is what we're all concerned about. Yeah, the president wants it to happen, but it's not exactly entirely up to him. So just play this for the momentum that they have going in it. And right now it's inside, needs to break 190 bucks. You could put them in a category like lately with the run that we saw on Robinhood. That's giving back some of its gains as well. Yeah, why is SoFi trying to break out? It kind of puts, I just pulled those other two names up for the first time and saw how weak they are, and it kind of made me think twice about how much I like the reload on the dip in SoFi. Because Robinhood's weak, Coinbase is weak. Why is SoFi doing well today? I just liked it for a technical break, but if everything else in the cohort's going down, might need to be less aggressive.
Yeah, no, I don't.
It wasn't like there was a story. I just like the chart.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm just trying to save a document over here. Okay. I already saved that one. All right. Meta gets. Look, we got some outs there. It went. My best out though was 575. So I think we'll take another fill right now at 50s. Okay, we crossed down and get it. You just saw the spread was 20 cents. I crossed into 50s and got 53s there. So, you know, sometimes using a dark pool or whatever you use, you'll route over into a Citadel or something like that. I'm still going to wait for 576.50. I mean, that's the level that I'm at right now, waiting to see if that wants to fill up. And then, you know, if we do get stopped out, what about a 570 break now on Meta? And that was always going to be our stop. So just making sure that we do have that in there. It is 569.99. So if that does come out, we will be off of that one. You just talked about SoFi. I'm seeing Robinhood right now as well, 110 and changes. We have a strong crypto environment today, 78.6 on 1,000. So that's a good level there for crypto. Trying to get back up to 80,000. It looks like 111 break on Robinhood might be something. But look, you're bouncing right off the 200 period moving average now. I think this is setting up for a short actually on Robinhood right now. It's 10-10, so maybe there could be something going on there. I could definitely see that one coming through with Robinhood. So watch out for a short against 311, against 11 right there, 111 for Robinhood. Looks like we could get into those levels at some point there today. So we'll wait to see if that is kicking through there. Our good friend SpaceX did have that run up into 140. Yeah. I mean, we looked at those levels yesterday, and we said there was basically 3 shorting areas, and that was 138. That was pretty much until 11 o'clock or so. Then we had that move, and this is where we got stopped out on that last move there to the upside, breaking through 138.50. That happens. We get stopped out. Then it gives you the 140 short, which, I mean, that was just straight there. Gave it to you again today. The same levels, basically 139.50 right there. That high is 139.80. And then, you know, down, bounced off the 200, bounced off VWAP again, then gave you a shorter high, but one that could have been possibly predicted at 139. So there's 138, 140, 139. So right into here today again, really no shorts pretty much off the open. Like if you had the open, great. But down in there to 135. And again, like, why would we be surprised that it bounces off its IPO price of 135? Boom to the upside right there to 140. So $5 straight fire. That's your first area right there to short. And it was there. And that's too bad because that short was there. So we could have had that. Meta just broke down below, so we actually get stopped out of Meta now, breaking back through.
My first thought, as you point that, I'm glad you did. It's like, how many times does the level like that have to be significant before every single day you just come in and ask yourself, where the heck is the IPO price again? And then just focus on that.
Sometimes it's that easy, but you get distracted.
No, that's 100 million %.
Million, yeah.
Well, it's not 100 million
Yeah,
%.
it is.
It's 100%. We don't want to talk about million. But the other thing that sometimes happens is you get distracted and you sort of lose, I don't know, for myself, like I'm shorting VWAP, I'm keeping tight stops here, tight stops there. Like I'm just getting in and out, taking those hits on Intel. And then when it actually breaks the trend, you know, like it broke the trend up here, but we're not going to be able to get that quickly if we're waiting for it. But now we're looking at that LOD for INTC. It's just, I think on SpaceX, and the reason I bring it up is all you really need is the right area that you're looking to execute. And we like close prices more than we like open prices. And that was a jump off level 2 days ago for a reverse trade. It was also a closing area of support. So it's kind of something we should be watching. All right, if the market's going to pull back into VWAP, then, I mean, Intel obviously is coming back down in a little bit, but then so is SoFi, right? And that's an actual long position. Like, I don't love the re-entry at 20s. It looks better when I frame it as that's the breakout price. But if we lose VWAP, I have to jump out of this, even if I think the stock is bullish today. Everything else that it's related to is going down, is the other thing, which I didn't really pay attention to. It was a pure technical trade. And on sympathy, I probably don't take that reload if I look at a chart of Robinhood and Coinbase, and then also the futures. So yeah, the shorts are starting to work in here, which does mean these long could go kaputs any second now. And MRNA, by the way, like not only is it holding the line on that wick, when I was saying there's a place to possibly add, that would be a trend break under VWAP. So like this little uptrend that we're in, I took the short off this topping tail. But if we just break this trend, this is an add in here, and then we're trying to play it into that LOD. I just heard Randy and got excited.
Yeah, I heard the coffee coming through there. One more time. Look at our Q's trade, man. It was a good one, and then it wasn't all the way to the downside.
Thanks,
there on the TQQs. So how's the drilling going down there, Randy?
I think this one's yours.
No.
That one's yours.
Feels like it's going faster than normal. Like I thought it would take a couple weeks. I feel like it's going to be less than that.
Really?
I don't know, but I think that's the prediction, right? Is maybe 1 or 2 weeks at least from here. Yeah, good. So be it.
2 more weeks?
Right now. Yeah, at least. Well, we're only in day 3.
Yeah.
Right now, so based on how they did it before, I feel like we're on their one. But share some of that oil they're drilling for down there, Randy. We did get stopped out of the TQs, but you can see, man, I mean, we basically got stopped out of the high of the day. Would have loved to given that just a little bit more room to breathe, but no, as now it's falling back down. So yeah, boo on that one as the TQs continue to make a move back into VWAP. It's really too bad because that was something that we could have definitely held on to for a little bit longer. And remember I was saying it's a good reload spot there. It didn't really break higher, but it does get into 70. So our stop there at like 63s, yeah, definitely hurting at this point right now. But now that we've made the move back into VWAP, I'm actually thinking about a small little reload here to the long side. So let's just give that a go now and see if that one will work out for us there on a reload of the TQs potentially long into that bottom wick tail right there, $70. So if we can get a bounce off of 70, so far so good on that. But, early days on this trade. See if we can take a little bit of money, but then back up to the upside. 70-40 would be a good take, but we're going against 70 flat right now. So we got to be careful about where this one winds up taking us right now on the TQQs. So let's give the stop out right now at 69. Let's go to 84 or so. Actually, let's go 69.99. Let's just see if we're wrong. We're going to be wrong on this one again, and just stop out for 10 cents. Well, I'll be 15 cents or so at this case. But maybe we're bouncing off VWAP, maybe we're not right now for the NASDAQ. I don't want to, I feel like sometimes you feel like, you're throwing ideas out there and, putting on risk when maybe it's not appropriate. I don't feel like that right now, but the market is just, it's trying. It has a high side there. We've tried to fade it, which was the initial plan. Just dropped out of that right now. So let's give it a little bit of go here and see if we can't get just a little bit higher from these spots now on the NASDAQ and, retrace a little bit back into like 70-40, 70-50 and get some of this day back right now for us. So nice move there on the NASDAQ to the downside. Looks like we may be moments away from the long not really working either. Maybe hands off until we get some proper direction. I think it was the SpaceX trade at 140, I think was the better look, but
that's like the heck of a reversion. I'm just mad at myself for the not looking at basically taking a technical trade and then just completely ignoring what's happening around it, because basically throw back what we made on SoFi by taking an entry that made no sense in the context of what the market was doing. Like SoFi was doing its own thing. It's like buy the dip, buy the break of the high, play it into the top, like everything was clean. But it's like, why even reload that? So anyways, yeah, it's sloppiness. I think that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. Intel, there's no direct targets underneath 86 for me. When you pull up the daily chart, actually, let's go to the 15. We're really just playing for Monday's lows, right? So Monday's low was at about 85. So I guess short the pops, look for Monday's lows, and that's going to be about it. It is at an even dollar level at 86, where you do have a double bottom. But look at the candle on the 15. Even if we pull back, I don't need to be on the offer right now. Even if we pull back, that heavy candle's telling me that I want to short pops because that reversal looks pretty legitimate as far as I'm concerned. And then Moderna is just asking, it's like it just wants to do this trend break, but can't seem to confirm it. So it's holding that leg. Let me keep drawing this, and it keeps disappearing. But this little trend break, see what's happening? They just broke down under VWAP, and then look at that. Look at the tail on that candle. It just went to 150, and that tail was heavy. This is actually looking like this is a reverse. So I'm sitting in the short off this tail with that out, looking for a place to add if it breaks this trend line. But this is a reversal if it takes out 152. It's able to go counter trend of the market, and that is a nice looking buy that came off the 150 zone. I'm sitting LOD and then 146 for this trade. So I'm not even wanting 50 cents or a buck. The goal is to get $1.50, $2 on the first leg of this trade, but Moderna is starting to look a little bit strong. So now I'm going to reverse it if it breaks 152.
All right. Yeah, good look on Moderna there. I'm back into the Qs. We did get run a little bit there at O's. We just bought it right back up because I was going to use the 200 period. Sitting here and scalping, I think we were just sort of talking about that a little bit there with Neil. Like, it's not the easiest thing when the market's not doing anything. So let's give a little bit more, take a little bit less shares. So instead of having like the 2.5 units, we now have 1.5. So just let it relax, get there back up to the upside. To lose that 14 cents, we're now in the money now 20 cents. So the last little go here was fine. But I mean, the fact that we got stopped out there, that kind of sucks, because we'd much rather take the profit than have to make back what we already lost. And I think that was a good talk there about making sure that we're focused and not getting too sloppy on the entries and some of the ideas that we are thinking about. Nvidia, look at this, man, another retracement all the way to the downside now. So difficult to trade stock day of earning, day after earnings, even a couple days after earnings. But right now it's Nvidia getting hit today. The market's flat and trying to bounce off VWAP. We've just been talking about that all morning. But Nvidia right now downside, man, it absorbs VWAP. It gets hit now back into the downside. Very quiet on many fronts today. I mean, I'm not really hearing anything whatsoever. Meta broke out. You broke to the downside. USO now, huge move in the pre-market there. We got some, well, I guess actually since we opened up, what am I talking about pre-market? That's 9:30 right there. It's already 10:20. Wow. There's 125.50 all the way to the upside into 127. So a good move there for USO as we thought it might be going the other way. We thought oil might be coming downside with that talk from Oman and Iran yesterday, and the move that we saw at the end of the day trading, oil making that all the way back now into some of those levels once again, where we started that tumble from. So watch out for a 127 possible there on USO. But yeah, just kind of back and forth with a few ideas there today. The best one I think was the Q's short that we wound up getting stopped out of, but we made our money early, gave it back late there, and now we're trying a little bit of the long. Not sure if that's going to wind up holding. 69 has to break there. 69.90 has to break for me to get out of this current TQQ position. So
quickly before we go.
Yeah, go ahead. Go.
The tap on XPON is $8.95. It might lose VWAP on the reopen, which is going to happen in just about 2 minutes. And it might even be one of the names that we talk about, or not we, but we're going to talk about it, that Dara talks about in the small cap recap.
And you'd be correct, Neil. Let's talk about XPON first here. So this story came back out on Monday, so this is what, I guess, a day 3 reaction now. XPON 360, now called XPON Energy, announced this name change going forward here on Monday morning. They said that it's part of this $3.425 million cash acquisition of an Eastern Louisiana oil and gas exploration prospect. They also named a new CEO as of Monday, so Kevin Seller is now 3 days into that term. They also, at the same time, announced a $9 million offering of 2.117 million common shares. Now, their float is only 890,000 shares, so that's interesting. You've got just under $10 million market cap at this point. CRE, In Focus, Create, Enterprise, they reported that apparently they hit a record number of customers served in H1 2026, $13.87 million market cap, 1.1 million share float. Last but not least, YY Group Holding, a name that was on our watch list this morning, announcing a supplemental agreement canceling their $5.94 million convertible second convertible note tranche and warrants, $15.82 million market cap, 1.58 million share float. 18% of that float is sold short. Back to you.
Okay.
Thank you, Adara. When Adara said YY, my daughter has been singing Human Nature like all the time by Michael Jackson.
Oh.
I don't know what, maybe it's probably some kind of maybe it's like a YouTube short or something that she got into. Because I have no context for it. Like, she knows Michael Jackson because I listen to Michael Jackson. But outside of that, I don't think the kids are really into that at all.
No, I never heard that.
But either way, oh, shoot, that's right.
This market short is right. Oh.
No, I was going to update. XPON's looking a little bit better. If it opens above VWAP, that's a big deal, obviously, but it's also the prior day high here at $8.66. That's going to be in play. But Intel's trying to catch. Oh, damn. Well, it was a second ago trying to catch a bit of a bid. I like the 85. 85, I think, is a turnaround spot. I'm kind of bidding at Larry Bird here to see if we can get out. But if it does a trend break, and like I said, I didn't necessarily get trend in, obviously. We took the VWAP trade, but that doesn't matter. If I see a bottoming tail candle or a trend break, then I'm jumping out of this sucker, taking what we can, and moving on to the next. Eclectic Passions just said, don't complain. If I complain, I'll end up back in the frozen era. You're right, I shouldn't. Because as every parent knew, there's only so much frozen that you can take.
Yeah, we're not going to go back
that
into
was
that area.
And the worst thing is like the songs were good, but if you hear it every single day,
yeah, it gets a
for
bit
like 6 months, I don't care who you are, you can't take
well,
it.
Neil, you just got to let it go. I mean, at the end of the day. So right here, look, man, the TQQ's long looks to have been wrong. Obviously, in the short, completely good to go. We just gave it a go there at the 200 period moving average. So I'm going to give one last shot and just say, hey, if this time, if we're going to be wrong, let's just be wrong up here into $70.30. Let's stop this back and forth. We're trying to break lower here. Could happen right now on the NASDAQ underneath VWAP. We saw Nvidia coming to the downside. Bitcoin's not really doing a whole heck of a lot at 78.5 right now. So pretty just mixed reaction here by me anyways to the NASDAQ, hoping that, it would bounce there off the 200. It's not doing it. So I think we're just going to go short. We got run on that one. Otherwise, we would still be short and would not have even talked about this long right there. I thought that there could have been some strength high of the day back into the 200 period. Sometimes you do get a good bouncing situation there. So I feel like the risk to reward on that trade made sense to me. So we'll hold it. We're down like basically just under like sort of some of our goals that we try to hit there. But see, now it's coming back in. So now I'm thinking to myself, like, do we take this profit at the low of the day now, or do we wait for a break? So I'm going to bid something there in the mid 70s, see if we get out. I'm actually at 74 right now, looking for a break lower here on the TQs. The short was the idea to begin with, so we should probably just stick with it until we're wrong. And that wrong has to be at least a break of VWAP. And I'm talking about right up here, the 25 and the 50 period moving average. Both have turned downside right now. It's too bad. We could have just got a 76 there. We're bidding 74s. They're at that low of the day. Low of the day just looks like it was just made there, actually. That was by me, 69.76 or so. We already put the low of the day in when we got out of it. So
76.
Yeah, 69.76. Yeah. All right, so we'll just bid right there, get out some more as we go. There we go. We just took a 78 there when we realized that was the low. So a little bit of an out there for 10 cents. Let's see if this thing can come much further down. We're bidding 69.65 right now. See if we get a little bit of a move lower there. What's up, Airy Pages? You like that Let It Go reference? Huh?
You're throwing sixes out there, but you're saying everything but 6-7, which I appreciate. And it was. Oh, I was about to put a different super chat up.
Good morning, Sean.
Matthias, we see you chain react. We'll get to that as well. Opinion on Abercrombie.
I don't know the report. I mean, maybe Derek can go over the quick ANF report.
So they more than doubled the EPS estimates, and that's probably all I need to tell you.
So it's probably up huge, right?
It's up massively. It's up more than 30%.
Pretty good.
I went over it during the rundown. So yeah, they beat on sales, they beat on EPS. Again, 417 versus 199 expected. Apparently this is their best ever brand sales number for the second quarter of the year. They hiked their guidance. It's well above estimates for example here, GAAP EPS. They're now expecting 1310 to 1360 for the year. Estimates were 1071, raising their sales outlook here to 5.529 billion versus 5.464 billion expected. So beat, raise across the board.
Okay, we are beating down the Qs right now as we finally flip over to the short, and there it goes, man. We've almost made it all back, believe it or not. Meta breaks through now, so we're going to take this short, this long. If this breaks back down below 571, we're going to get out because we are short the NASDAQ right now. If this wants to go on a run, fine, but I'm not going to risk too much. Long into Meta right now, 51. We can take some out here if we can get it at 65. There it goes. Upside now for Meta. We're starting to get out of a little bit of this because the market is falling pretty nicely right now. So let's get out of some Meta here before we get too nasty with it. Nice trade there on Meta on the break of 51. But it's the NASDAQ right now. Let's effing go. It's about time, man, that we get some movement now. We talked about flipping it over into the short here. So it's a good look here for the NASDAQ, but we got to still start to cover. I mean, there's a nice move into the 50s one more time. So go Meta, go upside, go futures, go to the downside. Bye-bye Meta, just broke 570. We actually made money there, but they're breaking back down through 571. So forget about that talk. Here goes the TQs, man. This is the trade that we're in. And, we wanted to support that. We got a little upset at ourselves there for taking that long. So we did, maybe get a little irresponsible with the amount of shares short, but we're now printing. It's now 40 cents in the money. Hey man, if you don't take risks in this business, you're in the wrong one. So we just took it right there on the TQs. Looks like it's paying off. I don't know how far we're actually going to get. We're talking about like pre-market levels here. and this is right where the market opened up. So we still do have some downside pressure maybe on the market, but it may be relieved in and around where we are right now, 69.40s or so for the TQQs, but at least we're able to make a little bit back there. And wow, that's too bad about Meta. It just got us out there on a 571 break, so we were flat on that trade, and now it's $1.50 in the money, but okay for that one. Watching the market go to the lows of the day.
Yeah, it's only one. I actually just bounced on Intel and it might go lower. So I said bottoming tail and I get out. It put in that bottoming tail. We jumped out on the trail. We're going to hang on to Moderna as the market goes lower. Moderna, it's got a flat bottom break on it, down 6%. The other thing is SSR is going to be around 144, something like that. But I'm still eyeballing 45 to 46. That's a good level if you pull out that 15-minute chart. And because we broke the trend, I think on a bounce play, we're going to look to reload this at VWAP. So on a bounce, which I think we're going to get here, reload under VWAP and stick with this one to the south side for sure. For the XPON, everybody's friend, it did open well above the volume weighted average price, so it's not dead yet. It's very much alive, back above the $10 level for this small capper. That's key. Like the fact that it was able to open up above VWAP, probably a bit of a reprieve for the longs. It needs to calm down a bit. Like it's like 3 or 4 halts, I think, already. This one definitely needs to calm down just a little bit. So it's just 4. And for those that are watching Abercrombie, 32% is insane, obviously.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Well, we did. I mean, Nadera went over the story, but I don't think we necessarily pulled up the chart to revel in the move. And one thing to remember with Abercrombie is it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It doesn't really matter. They had that.
2024.
Yeah, okay.
They
So
talked about it on the podcast. That's why I remember.
That ridiculous squeeze that it went on. It's still a decent enough. It's like a 12% short float. It was much higher back then, but in order for shorts to be scared, they break key levels. That was at $130, and there's a wide gap on the chart to 163. I don't think it goes all the way there today, but this stock is capable of squeezing. We have seen it do it before, so don't put anything past it. It's not much of a day trading stock unless you like the spreading name. So it's up Adara's alley, I would say. But that's an impressive move. I just don't think it can do what it did a couple of years ago. That would be asking too much. And that was an epic unwind. It was kind of like the just think of SMCI's chart when everything fell apart, and that's what ANF looked like 2 years ago. Crazy.
Oh man, it's spready style also over here. We like to trade that style. And with Meta especially today, I mean, the spread right now is 70 cents. That's too bad that happened. Like, I'm not even sure it broke really, but that was a 571 long that we had on Meta. We did give it up. We made. That's why I was saying, like, how do we make money? Because we got stopped out at the exact spot that we took the trade. So I don't really know. I think it was just a flash down. Must have broke the level. Then on the way back up, we got hit. And then it just started to rip up. So I really do like that position still against 570. So if we do fall back in, I'm bidding 572 right now. Hopefully we can get some of that love and then back into 570. We did get out of it a little bit too early, I feel like, there on Meta. It could easily fall back in. So I don't want to say that I mean, we're almost long again. I'm bidding 572.30s. So if it does fall back, there we go. See there, now we're long. So now we can get that. It'll be a buck worse than we had before. So we won't use quite the amount of shares, about a fifth of a unit. We'll wait to see if it does break back down below 570. Let's give it to 568.99 right now. Give it a little bit more room. I mean, I don't mind getting stopped out exactly at certain levels, but give it a little bit more. We'll buy some 571s and then hold on to it. At most, we'll have is about a third of a unit coming into this trade. So we'll watch to see what Meta wants to do now. Not even panicking. No point in hitting the keys yet. We actually want to get longer against this area right there, 570 basically. We'll take a 571 and then we'll hold it because we don't know exactly how far or how deep this move will be. Good outs on the NASDAQ. We talked about that down there. Is anything halting this XPON?
It's just XPON.
Yeah, that's halted and now opened up again, looking like it wants to go a little bit lower. XPON, Experion, I believe, there with the downside move. Watch out for $9 coming through there on VWAP. So that could be a little bit of a look there for us on XPON. Yeah, Bitcoin just more than moved down. I think that was a good look there. SK Hynix, no, back to its open. That just hit on one of the scanners here, SKHY. Why? Because we like it. Down there, 158. So yeah, it comes right back into the opening range again. Now trying to kick a little bit higher. I still like this name, but I would rather it be, down at 150. I think the level that I was looking at was 140 though, wasn't it? Yeah, right there. Yeah. So this is the spot for me on SK Hynix to see what winds up happening. A name that's been around for about a month and a bit. We'll wait to see where that goes now on SKHY there. And then we already talked about sort of, and I don't think it was the missed trade of the day, but we were on it and looking at it, so we definitely could have had it. And that was SpaceX up there at 139. I mean, when someone said SpaceX is on a run, you weren't wrong. That's exactly what it was on. And then there's the move right back in. And once again, we talked about, hey, why is it so strange that it keeps on bouncing off of 135? Well, it just did it again. So another opportunity there. All right, Meta, we're now $1 in. So let's take something out here on Meta as the average in is working out for us. But as we had mentioned with spready symbols, you got to sometimes cross that bid and get out. So we just take a fill there at 62s. So that's exactly $1 there on the reload. I am now waiting for 573s. And again, see, if you're not there, you miss it. So it just came right back up there, and we didn't have an offer. So you got to put offers out if you're actually going to make money in this game. So now we have one, 572 90s. Hopefully we can get that $1 higher on Meta. We'll take it. That high's been 574.50s right there. So we should have just been there 2 seconds ago. We weren't. So 574.50. Let's put that out for Meta and then see what winds up happening. Hopefully we can get an upside tick for META. Waiting at 573 first.
Yeah, and it looks like this higher low might be actually legit here on Moderna. Like, I'm looking at it, if I was flat, what would you do? If I was flat on a stock that we've been bullish on and it double bottomed and then broke the trend at the low and then put in a higher low, I'd probably be thinking long. I don't have to go long, but if I'm saying that, then I get out of the short. So 150 doesn't want to go further than 148. The buyers are there at 148, so we'll just take what we can out there on Meta. The extended move, maybe we find something later or a VWAP trade, but it worked. It wasn't as good as yesterday to the long side, obviously. I think that had mostly to do with the entry because it turned from this, like a VWAP retracement, to that high, looking for extension, into, well, it should have been a trend break here with a better price, and then that's what you take. So we're going to be out of this one looking for the next opportunity in there, and it might be on Intel. Back over to Intel because at least our out looked good there. Like, I was lamenting it a second ago, and then now we're back into the volume weighted average price. So Intel does bounce from our exit. Again, it's the same thing. It just does a bottoming tail candle. We'll play it back into VWAP. Just didn't play this off the open range right because the stop out, it ran the high multiple times, but I wasn't even giving it to the high. I was actually stopping it out tighter than that. So we're going to short this one back through the volume weighted average price and look to the next. Oh, I mentioned Bitcoin. I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So what I was going to get to with Bitcoin is, with the market's weak, but Bitcoin has failed underneath 80,000 almost every single day. Today, we didn't even test anywhere close to it. I wrote down on the note 45 short. Well, on IBIT, it's not even close to that. But here's a consolidation. There's a trend break. I should be short this. But we just didn't think. I thought there'd be enough juice on that market move up to have gotten us at least a press higher. But there hasn't been. So I'm going to try to short this as well in IBIT. So hopefully Intel, potentially IBIT, will be one to play to the south side.
All right, we're now we're almost $2 in the money on Meta. A positive stock for me now today after we basically all of them were winners. This one we wound up basically being slightly down on because of the break there. We just didn't get that action. We didn't get enough out. Here, that was a flat trade. Now we're up. So again, everything I always talk about is position pending, but now we're almost $3 in the money on the upside of Meta. I'm waiting at 573.80. So again, like we just stopped at 575.25s, 573.50s. We're waiting at 573.80 right now. Too many numbers I have to keep on going over. There it is. We get that, so that's a good trade there. It looks like we will stop out here on the TQs. We were just panicking and getting out a bunch right there at 70s. So making sure that we watch out for that one right now as the market continues to go a little bit higher. Let's just take some out now because we already have this Meta trade, which is an absolute monster right now for me. Now 3 and a bit upside. Let's not give it all back on a bad read on the Qs one more time. Let's stop out if it breaks through VWAP right now on the TQ. So that's like a 70-10 area or so. Pretty happy with that. If that winds up happening, so be it. We have about half of that position still on, so it's not good if it does break it. We're not super happy with that kind of a move. But let's put the stop in right now to go. So that would be $70 and let's be exact, man. Is that going to be 15 cents? All right, $70.16. We'll put it close enough to that. If it does stop out, fine. But the story right now is $4 right now on the face slapper. That is your boy Meta. We just took some out right now. We still have half left right now. Big move, man. Upside now for Meta. Let's see if it wants to just continue to go. I was waiting. Do I have another offer out there on Meta? No, I do not. So that I was trying to hit a little bit ahead of VWAP there. The last time we made this move, we went to 576. So that's kind of what we just got right there. We got 575. So let's wait to see if it goes higher than that. We still have half left. That VWAP is at 577. They're on META. And again, you know, the news just basically is what it is, man. I mean, they had to pay a little bit of a lesser fine, but then more details came out and some of the restrictions on those social media accounts. The market didn't really like that. So we were up 5% on Meta. Now you're back to 1%. I think we almost got to flat there as well at 560s. So now up $15 from those lows, but I still think there's a little bit more room to run here on META. So Meta right back to 575. You know, I can convince myself to hold this, but I can also convince myself to punch out a little bit more. So we're offering in the 90s now, get out of a little bit more and see if we can hold about a third of this for literally the dream. Like if it wants to go, let it go up to the upside there and try to trade off of 577, 580 basically. So that's going to be what we're doing. One more little piece out there would be nice as we just continue to massage the positions here today. It's not like there's been anything dramatic. We had a couple early good calls there. Palantir still going higher, by the way.
Yeah, also there's this, I just had it up and now it doesn't want to, there we go. This YYGH is getting back to life. The small cappers, they haven't been as good with the exception of, was it XPON, but this one pulls right back into some prior highs. It's doing a rounded bottom. If it can get above VWAP, I think it's an interesting one that a lot of people will probably look at. Moderna, hit enter twice. Moderna doesn't really press back into resistance at 52s. So it did double bottom off 148, but there's no real big press into that prior high, which kind of sucks. Like that's where I would like to re-enter the trade and get a much better entry than we did before. And then as I mentioned, if Bitcoin's getting ignored and looking weak, then I want to be, or just, it's not about looking weak, it's about just not looking exciting. Oh, there we go. It's not looking exciting. And so I'm going to short this consolidation, give it to the volume weighted average price, and just play it into the low. When I see Bitcoin, like IBIT and zoom it out a little bit, like, okay, high, lower high 45, reject the prior close. Like there's some room down here, like 1% down to 43.85 or so. And then you got this support if the market wants to give it up. There's some potential. The market's bouncing strongly, and this isn't bouncing as strongly. So I do like this one to the south side. Let's go up to Adara at the desk. I believe it's already time for Money Talks.
Time flies, Neil. Let's take a look here at the sector watch sector board. We have weakness in retail trade, health technology, consumer durables, finance with Schwab down 3.5%. And then you've got some strength here in producer manufacturing, minus LRCX and AMAT trading lower, some of the chip names in electronic tech, which we'll get back to in a minute. But you've got a lot of strength here in some aspects of producer manufacturing, like Caterpillar and GEV. Utilities relatively strong, in process industrial strong, industrial services looking good, communications mostly looking good here, and transportation to the upside. No, let's talk a little bit more here about this tech services sector, because you have Meta still up about 0.5%, though it was up and then down a lot more as we digest the different terms of the settlement agreement with some U.S. state attorneys general. Oracle up 2%, CrowdStrike ahead of its earnings report up 1.5%. But you've got some SaaS and software weakness as well. IBM to the downside, ACN down 3%, Adobe down 1%. Electronic tech, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit mixed here with chip weakness in names like Intel, Broadcom, and Nvidia each down about 1%, but then Apple to the upside here. So again, that Apple green chips red play continues to be in focus. Then you've got Dell and Arista Networks both up sharply. So there's a lot of divergence here within the electronic technology sector in terms of how names are trading. Back to you.
Arista.
Thank you, Adara, but also thank you down to Sky.
Yeah.
Appreciate the super chat. Hey, but you know what?
Down to Sky.
We thank you the super chats, but after we talk about this, let's talk about the donations that we can be making to a fantastic charity as well. Thanks for the meta news, which helped. Also, DKS looks juicy here. Thoughts? Remember, it's day 2 SSR, so the uptick rule is in effect for DKS, which it took advantage of for this big bounce. Remember that 130 we're talking about? That was the bounce zone. Look at what it's doing at that 130 spot. When I say bounce zone, it's like the only place that it wasn't dying yesterday. It didn't really bounce off that level. There were a couple $1, $2 bounces, but everything else was just sideways action at best. So it's got a consolidation that it needs to break out. The longer the consolidation, the better. But I think this is a dead cat. It's a bit of a dead cat bounce. And if it resumes downtrend, I wouldn't be surprised if you retest at least a shot in the mid 120s. But I wanted to remind everybody, if I can, for a quick little second, that, hey, we are at, what are we saying? I got to refresh mine. But we're at 58.5. 58.5. So if you see that link that's in the chat, or if you see also in the description and you're wondering what we're talking about when you can donate, well, we're talking about Friday, and that is going to be Fabian cutting off 28 inches to try to get as many wigs as possible for kids undergoing chemotherapy treatment. We've already got 2, because every 2,500 is another wig raise. It's a great and awesome idea by Fabian, and it's a fantastic charity, and it's a fantastic cause. I want to thank the recent donations, of course, Jesse and Anonymous, Little John.
Yeah.
I'm not on the page. Yeah. Justin, May, John as well. So appreciate all of you. So if you're in a giving mood, then just check it out. Link is in the description. It's pretty easy, and you can also find a link in the chat. You can scan the QR code that you see up on the screen when we flash it. But thank you for the donations that we've already gotten. As we said, we're doing it live on the show. He's cutting my hair live on Friday, probably in the afternoon.
You know what else we're doing it live, guys? There it is. Now $5. Meta's starting to go, man. We got a couple outs up here as well. And, you know, we've really pushed this 570 level now 3 times. So, yeah, go, gadget to the upside right now as it's just going. So good move. Only up about 1%. That's fly coming through. Here we go. Let's go, Meta. We do have another offer at 577.50. We said we'd try to, you know, get something out if we took VWAP, which is what we're doing right now. And then the next level will be the 200 period, which is 579, basically. So again, you know, it's a $500 stock, so very spready one indeed. But there it goes upside. You know, easily. For me, the trade of the day is just this Meta buying off of the 25 period moving average longs. It's too bad that we got stopped out there. This one, whatever, it came back in and let us reload it. So we're pretty happy with that move. But here it goes. 577.40 we're at right now for not 1, not 2, not 3, but $6 clubs right there. So I can pass a ticket over to my friends here. We have 6 tickets now for the dollar clubs. We'll pass one to each one of these guys. Obi ready to go beside me right now. Joe here as well. So we're ready to rock and roll on the midday, which should be another big one. We'll wait for Sharif coming back in 2 days. On Friday, we have...
I thought he was visiting Luis.
Yeah, he was. He did visit Luis.
Okay. That already happened?
Yeah, that already happened. We yesterday, we had low engine coolant, so I had to go get more engine coolant. We replaced that right there. Shout out to Canadian Tire as we go. I don't know the blinker. What is that from? The blinker fluid? I don't know. No, but I don't know what that's from. Obi, the blinker fluid?
Is that a thing?
I don't know. Obi must know something that I don't know. But at the end of the day,
no blinker fluid?
No, man. Just don't worry about it, Obi. No, I didn't have. It wasn't an oil change. Coolant change over there, my guy. But here we go, man. It's a nice move to the high side right there on Meta now. But I asked the wife, anyways, any fires this morning as she drops the kid off. At hockey, no engine fires, so we're good on that one.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, she said just a small engine fire she put out, no big deal. So that's good on that one. But yeah, there goes Meta right now, $6, still trying to go. Look, we've gotten lighter on the TQs. It just came back in. We basically took them out for flats now on the TQQ. We'll be negative on this one because of that little long there. But again, position, that's if we stopped out right now. Looks like we are trying to get stopped out up there near 70.10. But yeah, that's the problem. And that's what I told her. I said, if we're ever losing engine coolant, must mean there's a leak. So we got to get that looked at ASAP. That's in our Volkswagen Atlas. So, of course, no worries on the Tesla for that reason. But yeah, nice downside move in the futures, stopped, but nice upside move there in Meta, continuously going right now. But look at the futures, man. Just at VWAP right now, not a whole heck of a lot going on. Marvell, just got a note about them. I think we're tracing back down. Yeah, took out VWAP right there. This is a couple minutes ago. VWAP break to the high side on Marvell, still flat on that one. And the big one that you're going to join us for after hours today is Nvidia. So Nvidia, what? Okay, I mean, again, I wish we could rewind this to about 8:30 when we talked about what we were looking for on Nvidia. It came right into 210, like as if that should be $1 there on Nvidia, which is now $7, by the way, on Meta. But yeah, right into there, Nvidia 210. That one was a monster trade if you're able to find it. Did I say $7, Neil? I meant 8 right there now on Meta. So yeah, man, looking for that dime piece over here.
Yeah, nice. And it's awesome because, as you said, the market going up, Meta's going up, but thankfully what we put on is at the low of the day. Nice, and that's going to be IBIT. It's about, I find it this time of day, especially after 10 o'clock, just identify relative strength and weakness. If it's relatively strong, try to go long. If it's relatively weak, try to go short. It's that simple. So this will be, I'm happy about this, but I have to go back. You got to be real for a second. We're a little too picky about the entry and where we wanted to get back in on Moderna. And you know I like trend lines. So this is why I will. Like, some might be excited about this, but I will do the slap in the face because Moderna, there's the open, there's the higher low, like where it flushed apart, and then there's the trend line again. It basically tapped the trend line, and that could have been a reentry. Now, ultimately, it would have been like getting short where we got out, or close to where we got out, but that's the continuation play. So we got a little bit picky with it over there on MRNA. It's been, look, it was okay, but it probably should have been at least 50% to like double or twice as good as it was this morning. So that puts a little bit of damper on it because that short is continuing. If we bounce off this low, I think exiting and waiting for another retest of VWAP is going to be a thing here for me on IBIT. Because right now, I feel pretty good, but it is 1050. Yeah. And 1050 is, you start getting in the middle of the day, it's like the reversion portion of the day. So if you see double bottoms and you're short, it's like get out. Maybe you want a re-entry, maybe you even want some kind of a long off there. And as I say that, if the scalp's all we're going to get, I'm going to try and hop on these 18s and catch a fill if I can. Why not 18 instead of the 17s? We'll get out of this one and look for the next available opportunity. I think with the way that Intel started the day for me, I would just be happy to be up because we're so early on Intel because of this topping tail candle. And then the breakdown happened here, and we missed the move by about 30 pennies on Intel. Still able to get it and then get out at the low of the day, but we really missed the entry right in here. So yeah, sometimes it's like one little move like that skews the risk to reward because then you're getting in here with a tight stop instead of like right up at that high. But still, hey, positive's positive. So
yeah, definitely. Good look there on IBIT. We're now $10 on Meta. So I'm at 582 right now. There it goes. So hopefully we get it. We're at 582. Hopefully that's not the stopping spot there. But yeah, took some profit on the way up there. Still have a 20% of this trade, looking to get out of a little bit more there now at 582. So there goes Meta. Let's keep going there to the upside. There it goes. Yeah. So big move there. META just absolutely motoring now back up there to the upside. You know what? Thank you there, Eric, and everybody that's in the chat, man. I mean, this is what you try to do is just make a little bit of money, make some good trades, and hopefully you guys are following along. Now $13 now in the money on Meta, 3 times the reload rate there. And I see a lot of good talk there in the chat, like making your weeks, making all that kind of stuff. So, very important that you continue to look for the next trade. But Meta was a great one. Now 584, now $13 and still going higher is Meta. So, congratulations to everybody that sort of tailed that one. It's going upside. 585, I mean, do we take a piece out right now? When things start to, there, might as well. When things start to go real parabolic like that, and look, guys, we've been posting it up. We're going to go to Adair in a second. We have Money Talks. But we've been posting this up. When was the first time we posted Meta? This was 40 cents. This is an hour ago at this point, right? So Yeah, really starting to work it to the upside. 2 outs there at 85. We just took another one. Who knows how high this is going to fly, but I thought this would have been an area where maybe we look to, empty out a little bit. So yeah, good trade there on Meta as it just keeps on going back to the upside. Let's go over to Adara. We'll come back. We got a super chat. We'll talk about that one. Congratulations for the trading today. If anybody's up, I mean, Nasdaq's flat on the day. Pretty back and forth, but yeah, like you've been doing there, picking the right stocks, the right names at the right moment. Adara, what's going on with you now? 15 in the money on Meta.
Congratulations on Meta, Sean. And let's talk about the US dollar, which is also trading higher here today. We had that pseudo double bottom here on the daily chart around 98.59, almost 98.6, going back to last Thursday and Friday. Now we're on that 99 level. Obvious prior support here around 99.36. Let's see if we run into that area and it becomes resistance. Let's talk some PCE. PCE was interesting here because you had PCE month over month and year over year, and that's going to be non-core, hotter than expected by 0.1% each. So PCE month over month, 0.2% versus 0.1% expected. PCE year over year, 3.7% versus 3.6% expected. Now, if you go over to core PCE, month over month and year over year, both those numbers were in line. So generally in line, but again, a little bit hotter on the non-core basis. GDP, 1.5%, dead in line with estimates. Durable goods orders and personal income, both hotter than expected. Personal spending, also a little bit harder than expected there for July 2026. Let's talk the CME FedWatch tool, because after this print, we still have roughly 60-40 here at the next meeting. 60% chance that we get the rates held in place, 40% chance of a hike. And when I was reading some analyst notes as well after this PCE number, what I'm seeing is basically echoing that. So there's a chance we'll get a hike maybe later this year, but probably we're just going to get a hold at this meeting in September, on September 16th, given that we didn't have too much of a concern here with the PCE print. So we still, though, have a roughly 45% chance of a hike in December. When I checked literally a couple minutes ago, we were maybe seeing more hikes, I think in June of 2027. That's gone down right now. We're just seeing one hike in December. Back to you.
Yeah, but it's still moving in the direction. That's the wrong direction. Even if it is just a slight move, it's the wrong direction. And we don't like that print.
And there it is from David. Yeah, you're welcome, my guy. I mean, congratulations to you. You're the one. That's an options play. That's huge.
Yeah.
So obviously, I level up and use more shares when I see breaks like that. I hope you did as well with your options play. But congratulations there. 10 minutes ago, now up $18. What a monster there, David. So really glad for you to do that. And then you also super chatted right here as well.
Dave's earnings swing-tacular. Place trade this AM. Nvidia, nothing yet. Yeah, I mean, Nvidia is obviously probably disappointing for a lot of people. It just hasn't really moved, which I don't think is too much of a surprise. Calls on Urban Crowd. Ooh, Crowd. You know how much that's pulled off. And puts on CRM and SNPS, Synopsys. Obviously, CRM's been getting punked. CrowdStrike with a nice bounce back so far. It's sometimes, I hate this is not split adjusted. Where's my mouse? There it is. We got to go to the daily, which I happen to have up. Look, CrowdStrike is at a great level. I know it's under the 50-period moving average, but it was bouncing off such a great level. We were talking about pre-market here at the 180.
Don't forget about our earnings bet, Neil. If CrowdStrike does more than 8.7%, you get an apple fritter courtesy of moi. And I think I probably took the wrong side of that bet, so I suspect that apple fritter will be on your desk around this time tomorrow.
Well, I think it was just whatever the expected move was. If it's more than that, then I get a fritter, and then if it's less than that, then Adara gets. It's whatever. It basically was whatever you wanted from 7-Eleven. But you didn't tell me what you wanted. What do you get from 7-Eleven?
Well, because it'll depend on how I feel tomorrow.
No, that's fine.
I'm a very I love a good Slurpee moment, but it's fall now. Will that change? Probably not, but it could. Want to keep my options open. Thank you, though, Neil. I like bets. Bets are fun.
A little chilly for that, but no. Apple fritter. I'm an easy person. You know exactly what I'm going to want, but we'll see. And again, obviously, it's more important, tomorrow reacting to whatever it does happen in crowd, up or down. I just think it's double digits because of the way it's been moving. That makes a lot of sense to me. But CrowdStrike, good rebound trade there. So David, kind of with you on that bad boy. Oh no, looks like Bitcoin does not bounce into. I just looked up. Saw the market ticking a little bit higher, but that bounce off the lows does not materialize for IBIT. So my first thought is, okay, if it's breaking the low, is there a sympathy play that I can look at and join the short a little bit later. BMNR is only breaking VWAP now. Let's make sure ETH is not blasting higher here. ETH is at the low, so maybe BMNR at VWAP if we're going to take out the lows. We got to pay for locates on this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Look for the short underneath VWAP on BMNR for the continuation trade because crypto's not looking strong. That's what I like to see. Play the relative strength and weakness is what it should be all about in the market.
Here's, I guess I got to download it to show it. It's nothing really, it's just an image here. The team is now on the TTC. Well, they're there now, but there's a bunch of the girls met up on the TTC. You see how packed our subway system is here? Very impressive. So, you know, you can sit wherever you want right there. This is
How is it that empty?
No idea, man. This was probably about 9 o'clock too in the morning. So I've no idea what's going on there, but there it goes. Shout out to the Mississauga Hurricanes as they are on their training camp right now. They were actually on the ice with Vicky Sunahora yesterday, which is, she's actually in Wikipedia, the female Wayne Gretzky. So really happy that she was able to get that experience. My wife was like losing her mind, but you know, whatever. These girls just kill me every day. 585, good little run there for Meta as we keeps on going. They're back up to the upside. All right, the next little play there to look at for me today is we could look at the dollar movement. We saw the US 2-year right here. I wanted to have a quick little look at that. There's the move up that we are sort of looking for on the yield with that PCE number. The PCE number comes in as expected, so it's not like it's a huge mover one way or the other. Wow, that's now 586 now for Meta. But yeah, 4.5%. Sorry, my bad. 4.218% right there on the 2-year. It started the day down here 417 up to 421. So a little bit of a move higher there. As we continue to look at what that Fed was going to do, we'll refresh this heading into September the 16th, where you have 62% now. So 60-40 on that little run right there. What was for lunch yesterday? We don't have the. Oh, it's chicken. Yeah,
it was just the grilled chicken. Remember we said it was going to be that too.
What was it called, Adara?
I don't know its name, but I know it was spicy.
Oh, spicy, yeah. Okay. I'll say lightly seasoned. I don't know if it was that spicy, but
there was a seasoning with a little bit of kick to it. Like when I first took a few bites and there was like it's spicy, I was like, no, it's not. And then I ate the rest. I'm like, I see what you're getting at. It was nicely flavored, but I wouldn't call it spicy. I would call it I call it seasoning with a little bit of a kick, which I thought was pretty good.
Like a little, like paprika on it or something.
Yeah, it was nice, man.
It's not spicy.
I'll take it.
But okay, that's about it for us coming through now, man. It's 11 o'clock. Like, you know, I'm just gonna hold on to this Meta until we break 580. So that's the new one. So we can't take any less than $9 on this trade. I only have 12% left. So a bunch of outs. I mean, we wanted this out right there at 585. So we're lucky to take a bunch of outs there at 585. So an absolutely monster play there. There's a lot of breaking news. We got to go back to Adair. Neil and I'll see you back at 2 p.m. Go Adair and get him.
Circle just dropped sharply here. Wall Street Journal reporting that banks are moving forward with a global stablecoin consortium, according to unnamed sources. So that would be a bit potentially of a rough look here for CRCL, again, stablecoin producer. So we've got banks moving forward with global stablecoin consortium per the Wall Street Journal. Over to Joe and over to Obi. It's the Joby midday. All that pun's moving.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Happy Wednesday. Mike. Guess what day it is? Oh, all right, we'll do that right there. A little good Toronto slap up there. Man, we'll let some people roll in here. We're going to roll in